Live from the baseball complex on the campus of the College of Staten Island, you're watching exclusive coverage of the 15th annual Hillary breast cancer event right here on CSI Sportsnet. Tonight, the College of Staten Island will take on Drew University as the College of Staten Island looks to get back on the winning track as they go into a big weekend series this weekend that will determine whether they make it into the 2019 CUNYAC Championships. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Bibuski, and we'll be joined shortly by my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman, as we're here tonight to broadcast the 15th annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night game right here on CSI Sportsnet. And as we mentioned earlier, the College of Staten Island coming off of a pair of back-to-back defeats in their last doubleheader as they went and had a doubleheader on against St. Joe's Brooklyn, and St. Joe's Brooklyn was able to come out and really get a couple of great starting performances. First in game number one, Andrew Waters came out and pitched a three-hitter and gave up just one run in the game, and that was an unearned run. And then coming right back in game number two, it was William DeLuca for the Bears coming out and pitching a four-hit, two-run game as the Dolphins dropped both ends of the doubleheader to St. Joe's Brooklyn by final scores of 6-1 and 6-2. It was a pair of games that St. Joe's Brooklyn was able to put up a pair of runs in the first inning in both of those contests. The Dolphins were able to come back and tie up game number two, but the Bears were able to put game number two away with 3 runs in the sixth and a run in the seventh, and were able to sweep the Dolphins and drop the Dolphins' record on the year to 13-19, and they're 5-4 overall in the conference. And we mentioned earlier the College of Staten Island still in the hunt, still looking to finish in the top two in the CUNYAC conference and play in a 2 of 3 tournament to advance into an opportunity to advance themselves into the NCAA tournament. So still a lot on the line for the Dolphins as they get ready to play this weekend, and they're going to have a big series of games coming up beginning this Friday afternoon here at the CSI Baseball Complex, where the College of Staten Island will take on John Jay, a 12 noon start, and then they'll go on the road for a doubleheader against John Jay. And, those 3 games will really determine the outcome for the Dolphins, and we'll talk about that a little bit more a little bit later on. But, we should talk a little bit about Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night. This is the 15th annual night here at the CSI Baseball Complex. The event was actually canceled last year because we just couldn't get it rescheduled. After canceling and rescheduling a couple of times, we really ran out of season. And, really for the first time since back in 2004, there was no game this previous year. But we're back here in 2019, a beautiful afternoon, and Anthony Hillary, of course, will be here, and we're really looking forward to getting back and having the game take place here. It's always a big occasion here at the CSI Baseball Complex. And, in addition to honoring Anthony and his mother, of course, the Staten Island will also honor a couple of other breast cancer survivors, Dawn Catone and Jackie Tripodi, as well as Catherine Coglione, who was also just an 11-year-old girl suffering from leukemia. And, again, we have this discussion really every year, but, it's just so tough to have these diseases. And, people working so hard to try to find a cure, and hopefully, a cure will be found shortly, and that's why we're here year after year to try to, remind people of the need and remind people of what's going on. And, every year the Dolphins able to collect, a significant amount of money and donate it to various causes involved throughout the Staten Island community. So, there's still time to get down here. We're auctioning off a lot of great prizes. There'll be a 50-50 raffle as well as a raffle opportunity to win other prizes. So, still plenty of time to get down here. A beautiful night here for baseball here this afternoon as the College of Staten Island back in action here against Drew University. Drew, an opponent of this game, and have come here for years and years. First with former athletic director Jason Fine, and now the tradition continues here even in Jason's absence. So, we're very excited to have Drew here. They've always been very nice and very kind and, very supportive of what goes on here at the College of Staten Island, and it's nice to see them come out here, which I believe for the 10th time in these 15 years. So a big game coming up here tonight. First, at about 7 o'clock or so, we will have the Master of Ceremonies, Dave Pizzuto, proceeding through a very nice opening ceremony that we'll bring to you live here on CSI Sportsnet. And then sometime approximately 7:15 or so, we'll be back with the first pitch of the game, and we'll have one 9-inning game here tonight. And, like we mentioned, a beautiful night here tonight. We're not really expecting any rain, and, a big crowd forming already, and, a lot of people coming after work. So it's, generally a late arriving crowd as well. So, we're looking forward to hopefully seeing some of you come down who are in range of our voice and come down and watch a good baseball game and, have an opportunity to win some prizes and win some raffles and, participate in the 50-50 and, bottom line, help support the College of Staten Island in their fight against breast cancer here on the 15th annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night here at the CSI Baseball Complex. First pitch, as we mentioned, approximately at 7:15 or so tonight for the College of Staten Island. On the mound, it will be Joseph DeCelia on the mound. Joseph coming off of a good start in his last performance, coming in with a record of 1-1 and a 6.04 ERA. And for Drew University here tonight on the mound, it's going to be Jandy Castillo. Jandy coming in with a record on this season, and it's pitched pretty well on the year. It does have a 6.44 ERA, and we'll bring you his numbers as we get a little bit later on into the contest. And the College of Staten Island, as we mentioned, looking to battle their way back into the conference standings. They started off slowly in the conference, just won one out of their first 5 conference games. They were 1-4 on the year, and things look pretty dismal, but the College of Staten Island doing a very nice job bouncing back, winning their last 4 conference games, and now have an overall record of 5-4 in CUNYAC conference play. So they'll be looking to continue, get back on their winning ways here tonight, and as we mentioned, get ready for their big games, which will take place this Friday here at the CSI Baseball Complex, and then on the road Saturday for a doubleheader. And for the College of Staten Island, you want to come out and try to win all 3 of these games and put yourself in a position to play in the best of 3 tournament to win the CUNYAC part of the conference, and then advance into the second round and, hopefully advance themselves into an opportunity to get an automatic bid. And it's been a long time. The conference hasn't had an automatic bid in quite a while, and the Dolphins looking to hopefully get that automatic bid before both the baseball team and all the other sports begin their very exciting transition, I should say, into the Division II conference. And that's something we'll be talking about more and more, of course, especially as we move in to the 2020 season. The women's softball team is on the road against Farmingdale. They won their first game. The last score that we had in game number 2 was 1-1. They're tied up in the bottom of the 8th in game number 2 against Farmingdale State. The Dolphins coming off what could obviously be called a shocking loss in their game against John Jay earlier this week. It was a strange situation. It was a game where the Dolphins traveled into the city and both teams had to come back here to play a game because the field conditions at Randall's Island did not lend itself to play. The Dolphins got back here, picked up a 1-0 lead in that game, but ultimately ended up dropping that game 4-3 in a very close contest where the Dolphins got the tying runs on base in the bottom half, or the top half of the 7th inning, I should say, but fell 1 run short, and now will find themselves going into the CUNYAC Conference no better than a 2nd seed, and still business on the table for the Dolphins as they will play tomorrow against John Jay, the rescheduled game number 2 of that doubleheader, and then they'll go on the road this Saturday where they'll play Lehman College, and then the Dolphins will come back home to wrap up their regular season this Sunday against Mount St. Vincent, a game that we will bring for you right here on CSI Sportsnet. We will also have the Thursday game against St. Joe's Brooklyn, which is scheduled to take place on Thursday originally. If you're looking at your schedule, the Dolphins were going to play New Paltz. That doubleheader is canceled on Wednesday, will not be rescheduled. Dolphins will have one game on Wednesday, then we'll come back and they will play here at the CSI softball complex against John Jay. The Dolphins will be the road game in that game, and then they will come home, play St. Joe's as the home team on Thursday at 1-3. They were originally scheduled to play William Patterson on Friday. That doubleheader has been canceled, and then the Dolphins will finish up the regular season, as we mentioned, on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday on the road against Lehman College in 2 important conference games for the Dolphins as they look to get back on the winning track in the conference. And then, as we mentioned, wrapping up the regular season against Mount St. Vincent here on Sunday. Those games at 12-2. The CUNYAC softball tournament on the women's side will take place on Friday and Saturday here at the CSI Baseball Complex. You can tune in to CSIDolphins.com for all the latest information regarding Sportnet coverage of the CUNYAC tournament on both the men's and women's side. We'll see how that goes, especially in baseball, whether or not that will be covered by the CUNY Conference or whether that will be covered through CSI Sportsnet. It's yet to be determined, so we'll see what that brings. But here first, we're going to have the opening ceremonies here at the 15th annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night, scheduled to begin in just a moment. Dave Pizzuto, our Master of Ceremonies, will be bringing that to you. We'll bring that to you live, and then we'll be back and get you the starting lineups and the opening pitch for tonight's doubleheader between the College of Staten Island and Drew University. And really looking forward to a good 9-inning game here tonight and some nice weather, some of the better weather we've had all year long, especially for night games, as both teams getting ready to wind down their regular season and get ready for their conference tournaments. And, for the Dolphins, as we mentioned, still a lot of baseball to be played between now and Saturday that will determine whether or not the College of Staten Island gets an opportunity to defend their CUNYAC championship. And had a little bit of an opportunity to speak to head baseball coach Mike Morrow, and he feels pretty good about the way the team has been playing as of late, and despite getting shut down by some really good pitching by St. Joe's earlier in this week, Coach Morrow still with a lot of confidence that the team will bounce back this weekend when the games matter and count towards the CUNYAC championship. So we now have Dave Pizzuto begin the opening ceremony. So we're going to step aside and bring you Dave Pizzuto, bringing you the opening ceremonies of this 15th annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night.
The NCAA and the College of Staten Island baseball program promote good sportsmanship by student athletes, coaches, and spectators. We request your cooperation by supporting the participants and officials in a positive manner. Profanity, racial, ethnic, sexist, or other intimidating actions directed at officials, student athletes, coaches, or team representatives will not be tolerated and are grounds for removal from the site of competition. Also, consumption or possession of alcoholic beverages is prohibited. Fans, we also ask that you respect today's student athletes, coaches, and your fellow fans by adhering to our no smoking policy in and around the CSI baseball complex. Ladies and gentlemen, before we get baseball started here at the CSI baseball complex, we'd like to take a few moments this evening to celebrate the reason why we have collected here this evening. In 2004, former CSI student athlete Anthony Hillary, a member of the CSI baseball program, lost his mother to breast cancer. Anthony's family received a host of support during that time, and together with the CSI baseball program, he set out to use his mother's name to support breast cancer research through fundraising and an annual baseball game at the College of Staten Island. And thus, the Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night was created. And over the years, all proceeds generated were donated to organizations supporting breast cancer research and individuals who have served as beacons of hope and strength during their fight with this disease. Tonight, we're happy to report that to date, we have raised over $75,000 towards breast cancer research. It's a testament to the overwhelming support by all of you in attendance, and we plan to go even further year after year. Tonight, members of our sponsors at TLC Physical Therapy, student athletes and staff from CSI are here to help us with raffles and concessions. They've sacrificed their night tonight to be with us and to spread the word of breast cancer awareness, and we thank them very much. Ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, we ask that you please rise as we take a moment of silence to reflect on Grace Hillary, her memory, and her family's wishes to strike out breast cancer for all of its victims. Following our moment of silence, please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you turn your attention to the area in between home plate and the pitcher's mound. Assembling here now is CSI Director of Athletics Charles Gomes, CSI Deputy to the President and Chief of Staff Robert Wallace, and CSI Head Coach Michael Morrow. Ladies and gentlemen, these folks have had a big hand in organizing tonight's festivities, and now they would like to officially welcome one of our guests of honor, a 4-year member of the CSI Dolphins and whose mother's memory we honor tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, escorted by his daughter Grace and wife Andrea, Mr. Anthony Hillary. Now, ladies and gentlemen, because the borough of Staten Island itself has one of the highest concentrations of breast cancer in the United States, distinguished members of the CSI faculty through the CSI Center for Environmental Science have set up a special breast cancer research program dedicated to continue the pioneering effort at finding a cure. Tonight, Anthony and his family are happy to donate a large portion of the money raised tonight to the Staten Island Breast Cancer Research Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Donna Gersley and distinguished members of the SIBCRI, Ann Torino, Robin Johnson, and Alfred Levine. Ladies and gentlemen, every year we raise money to support breast cancer research, but these folks here and many like them throughout the country are working diligently on developing a cure and helping us fight the disease through research and early screening protocols. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, a big round of applause for the folks at CSI Staten Island Breast Cancer Research Initiative who volunteer their time every day towards finding a permanent cure for breast cancer. Now, ladies and gentlemen, every year we accept the gracious donations of so many during this great night, and over the years the generosity has grown. We'd like to kick off our giving today with the introduction of our title sponsor and a check to start our fundraising today. Ladies and gentlemen, from TLC Physical Therapy, please give a warm welcome to owner Mr. Jason Lamandola, COO Antonella Longo, CFO Christina Maida, DPT Michelle Payne, Patient Care Coordinator Samantha Schenker, PTA Doris Johnson, Patient Care Coordinator Dawn Shaken, and Noah Cooperstein, Marketing and Public Relations Coordinator. They are going to present the check in the amount of $1,000 to Coach Mike Morrow, Anthony Hillary, and the folks at the Staten Island Breast Cancer Research Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, there are many of them, and that's because when Mike Morrow approached them on the opportunity, they literally jumped at the chance, willing to do whatever necessary for the cause, and they are our title sponsors today. Once again, give it up for TLC Physical Therapy. Now, of course, this event brings out the best in many of us, and it seems like whenever there are people and causes that are in need, our next guest is always just a phone call away. Like our friends at TLC, we have another great sponsor of this event, not just this year, but for many years here at the ballpark and for many causes near and dear to our community. His foundation has created opportunities and has come to the aid of so many Staten Islanders and our neighboring communities. Tonight, folks, he will be presenting a check in the amount of $1,000 to help officially kick off our fundraising. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our friend, legendary boxing trainer and television analyst, Mr. Teddy Atlas. I believe Teddy Atlas would like to say a few words.
I've been in the fight business my whole life, and you get to the point where you believe that we all fight for something, whatever it happens to be. And if you're going to be properly prepared to fight at your best, there's certain muscles that have to be exercised. Sometimes they're not the ones you think about. You know, the biceps and the legs and all that stuff. Sometimes it might be a muscle like the emotion care, the ability to care. It has to be exercised like anything else. You guys are doing that. And I believe that the more you do to help others, the more you strengthen that ability, the more you strengthen that muscle. And then what happens is that instead of just being able to help yourselves and you're able to help others, well, it improves the ability where you can also help yourselves. You have the capacity to find a way to do more in your own realm, in your own world, for your own family. It improves you in that way, not only in the way that you're helping others. And when you do that, you're doing one extra thing that people like Mike Morrow are doing and like your coaches are doing. And it's a privilege to be able to do that. You're teaching. You're teaching others to think beyond themselves, to strengthen that muscle. You're teaching your own children. And in doing that, you're developing not only better people, but I believe future champions. God bless.
Thank you once again to Mr. Atlas and the Dr. Theodore A. Atlas Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to throw out tonight's ceremonial first pitches. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to throw out one of our ceremonial first pitches, one of our great friends and one of our guests of honor. She was diagnosed with ductal carcinoma in situ 8 years ago, undergoing a lumpectomy and radiation treatments, and we're happy to report she has been cancer-free since. Ladies and gentlemen, accompanied by her husband, Sean, and her daughter, Isabella, please welcome our esteemed guest, Dawn Cotone. Dawn will be joined in a few moments by our second guest of honor. She too is a survivor, diagnosed with breast cancer in April of 2013. Just a few weeks after her diagnosis, she underwent a double mastectomy. She's doing well and just celebrated her 6th year being cancer-free. Ladies and gentlemen, being escorted by her husband, Joe, her daughter, Danielle, sister-in-law, Debbie, niece and nephew, Teresa and Ray, her son, Joe, her sister, Danielle, and niece, Christina, and her boss and best friend, Jackie. Please welcome our second guest of honor, Jackie Tripodi. Ladies and gentlemen, before we introduce our third guest of honor, it's important to note that while Dawn and Jackie do not know each other, they share many commonalities. They both represent the power of early screening and routine mammograms. They were in no pain and had no idea this disease was part of their body. But because they both believed in the power of routine checkups and testing, they're both alive and with us today. They are proof that if we continue to spread the message of early screening and preventative maintenance, that we can help stop breast cancer once and for all. Ladies and gentlemen, for their diligence, their bravery, and for their efforts that include telling their story tonight to all of us, let's have another round of applause for both Dawn and Jackie. Ladies and gentlemen, Dawn and Jackie are also here to welcome our third guest of honor. She is a 6th grader at St. Patrick's School. She enjoys cheerleading and recently competed right here at CSI, winning the city and state championship in the Debs division. She also loves to draw and is quite an artist. You would never know that in 2011, at just 4.5 years of age, her parents, Vincent and Vanessa, noticed some abnormalities with bruising and persistent fevers. Blood tests were uncovered, and Catherine was battling leukemia. Catherine, however, is a survivor, and she immediately underwent chemotherapy treatments for 2.5 years, and now, ladies and gentlemen, she is cancer-free. Ladies and gentlemen, Catherine and her parents will battle this disease for the rest of their lives. They're proof that cancer affects us all and does not discriminate. It also shows us the power of the human spirit, the power to see in Catherine and her parents every single day. Today we say to them that we will never stop being in their corner and that we as a community will always be here to support them. They remind all parents here to make sure their kids are blood tested yearly and to support organizations like Kids Against Cancer, who work alongside hospitals to establish pediatric care. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for one of the bravest people we know here at CSI, Ms. Catherine Gaglione and her parents Vincent and Vanessa, her brother Vincent, her grandmother Linda and grandfather Vincent, grandmother Mary Ellen and grandfather Jimmy, cousin Giovanna, and best friend Grace. Ladies and gentlemen, after pictures, Catherine, Dawn, and Jackie have been given ceremonial game balls to toss out. But before we toss out our first pitches, we're going to turn it over field side to CSI head coach.
How about now? All right. First off, I want to thank Drew University for coming down and without a doubt, Coach called him on the phone and he was 100% into it. The players have been here for years. From the bottom of my heart, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate you guys being part of this. Obviously, I want to thank my team and my coaching staff. I want to thank Dave up top. Without him, there's no way this could get done. I have two of the greatest bosses in the world, and Jason Lamondola and Charles Gomes. They afford me to have these kind of platforms to help people on Staten Island, and it's absolutely my pleasure to do small little things like this, but it doesn't just go with me. You can see what it all takes, all these people. Teddy Atlas has never said no to me, and he's probably one of the busiest men you ever want to meet. He just flew in to be here tonight. I mean, this is just, it's a testament to what Staten Island is all about and about helping people. And just look at these three honorees that we're doing tonight. It's amazing how strong-willed they are, how they fight for life, and they've come out on top. And we're here to celebrate that tonight. So to all the fans out here tonight, thank you so much for coming and for being part of this. I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart, so thank you.
And thank you, Mike. And without further ado, I believe Anthony has a catcher's glove there. Let's have our honorees throw out our ceremonial first pitches. That's a strike, strike one. Strike two, right down the plate. And our umpires behind the plate have ruled strike three against breast cancer. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Catherine, Dawn, and Jackie, and thank you so much for being here tonight with the CSI and Hillary family for this great event. We certainly couldn't do it without your strength and support.
That was David Pizzuto bringing you the 15th annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night opening ceremonies. And, you know, it was a great opening ceremonies. And, you know, we had an opportunity to hear Teddy Atlas come out and, you know, give the welcoming remarks. And, you know, really a nice speech by Teddy, you know, talking about, you know, the importance of, you know, contributing and giving back to the community. And, you know, that's something that's been a long tradition here at the College of Staten Island, as evidenced by this 15th annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night. You know, we mentioned last year's game canceled repeatedly by rain, and, you know, it was really the first time in 15 years that the game wasn't played, but we're glad to be back here tonight as the opening ceremony is concluding out on the field. We're going to get ready for the start of the game here in just a couple of minutes. Joe Foreman will be up to join us as the College of Staten Island getting ready to face Drew University in this non-conference game, a game that has been played here, I believe, as I mentioned before. Drew here for the 10th time in this game, always very generous with their time, and the team has traditionally also donated their meal money towards this event every year. And, you know, this is an event that the College of Staten Island has been doing for 15 years. We've raised a significant amount of money that gets distributed throughout the community. TLC Physical Therapy was nice enough to get the opening ceremonies underway with a big contribution of $1,000, and then we had Teddy Atlas come out and join us, and then some other things as well. And, you know, we had an opportunity to meet a couple of breast cancer survivors, and, you know, how tough that must be. And, you know, it was a pleasure seeing Dawn Catone and Jackie Tripodi come out and take part in the opening ceremonies here today, as well as Catherine Coglione, who came out with her parents as well. So it was a very nice ceremony, a very moving ceremony. The participants are now beginning to move off the field. We're just moments away from the start of this afternoon's game or tonight's game, and, you know, we'll get underway and we'll get you the starting lineups and the first pitch of tonight's game. But, you know, I'm sure we'll have Anthony Hillary up here as usual to come out and, you know, do a half inning of the game with us and, you know, just talk about, you know, what's been going on. And, you know, usually we speak to Anthony every year, but it's we kind of missed a year last year because of all of the rain. So, you know, an opportunity to catch up with him. And, you know, these games traditionally have been pretty exciting games. It looks like we have a pretty good pitching matchup here this afternoon, as Joseph DeCillier will be on the mound for the College of Staten Island. He'll face senior Jendi Castillo, the 6-foot left-hander from Newark, New Jersey. And, you know, Joseph now out on the mound and starting to warm up, and, you know, we're finally about ready to get started underway here this afternoon. So while Joseph is warming up out on the mound, why don't we bring you the starting lineups for Drew University here tonight. It'll be the center fielder, Max Fellenstein, leading off. Second baseman, Cole Bosch, will bat second. The shortstop, Zach Lifshitz, will be the bat third. Matthew Lang, the left-hander first baseman, will bat cleanup. The designated hitter will be Anthony Tagliaferro. The sixth-place hitter will be the left fielder, Brian Regal. Brett Lincoln will catch and bat seventh. Eric DiPietro, the third baseman, will bat eighth. Mike Pettigrew will be in right field, and he will bat ninth. And Jendi Castillo will be on the mound for Drew University, as out on the mound warming up for the College of Staten Island is Joseph DeCelia, and the College of Staten Island about ready to get started underway. And we have an opportunity now to be joined by my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman. And, Joe, you were out on the field for the opening ceremonies. They were excellent as always, and really nice to see Teddy Atlas out there for the College of Staten Island as well.
Certainly was great to see a great crowd gathering for a great cause, but we'll have some more time to talk about that later as the action's about to get underway with the first batter of the game to face Joseph DeCelia.
Yeah, so the first batter of the game will be Mark Fellenstein. Fellenstein will be the center fielder here tonight as DeCelia, the right-hander, getting ready for the first pitch, and that'll be taken outside for a ball, 1-0.
And we'll have the live scoreboard up shortly. We usually wait for the first out of the game before putting the scoreboard up on the screen, so we'll have that for you in a couple of minutes.
Fellenstein batting .291 on the year. 6 doubles, a triple, and 15 RBIs. And he'll take that pitch for a ball, and DeCelia falling behind in the count, 2-0. We'll get you Joseph's numbers here in just a minute. And the 2-0 pitch is down low for a ball, 3-0. So DeCelia falling behind in the count immediately, 3-0.
Walks have been an issue for DeCelia, but he's had the strikeout going for him as well. So we'll see if he can balance out his command issues with some more strikeouts in this game as he falls behind early.
The 3-0 pitch isn't even close, and he's going to walk Fellenstein on 4 pitches. Joseph coming into today's game with a 1-1 record, a 6.04 ERA. This is his 7th appearance, his 6th start. He has 1 complete game. In 22 and a third innings, he's allowed 12 hits, 18 runs, 15 earned, 27 walks, like Joe was talking about, and 32 strikeouts. And, you know, Joe, you make it really difficult on yourself and almost impossible if you're going to walk that many batters. As the first pitch by Cole Bosch is swung on and fouled back, and Bosch falls behind in the count, 0-1.
Walking batters definitely makes things much more difficult. DeCelia hasn't been the only one with command issues for the Dolphins so far this season, but certainly has had them. And as I said, the strikeouts have balanced that out a bit, but his pitch count's been run up in just about all of his starts.
Throw over to first base, and Fellenstein is back in time. So no balls and 1 strike to count now on Bosch. The wind and the pitch is taken for a strike, 0-2.
Well, after falling behind 3-0 to the first batter he faced, DeCelia now ahead in the count, 0-2. We'll see if he can put Bosch away and avoid putting the first 2 men to the plate on base.
Bosch batting .288 on the year. He's got 7 doubles as that pitch is fouled back and the count holds at 0-2.
And on that pitch, the runner was going all season long. Opponents have run rampant on the Dolphins, and really very few of the Dolphins pitchers have had an easy time holding runners on, and DeCelia, one of those Dolphins pitchers who has struggled controlling the running game.
Drew coming into today's game, Joe, with 21 homers on the year, so they've shown a lot of power throughout the year, and Bosch has 2 of those home runs. As that pitch is taken, strike 3 call, and looked like Bosch must have been fooled on that pitch, Joe, because it was a pretty good pitch and didn't even really get a cut at it.
The front door breaking ball locked him up there. That pitch starts in on the hands and breaks over the inside corner. A tough pitch to pull the trigger on, especially with 2 strikes, and DeCelia has his first punch out of the game.
So that's going to bring up the shortstop for Drew, Zach Lifshitz. Lifshitz coming into today's game, leading the team in batting, .375. He has 39 hits in 104 at-bats as DeCelia gets the ball over to first base. And Fellenstein back in time. Bless you, Joe. So Lifshitz now behind in the count, 0-1. We mentioned leading the team in batting at .375. He's also scored 31 runs on the year, which leads the team. Has 39 hits, 5 doubles, a triple, 6 home runs, and 23 RBIs. So he's been the best all-around hitter for the Rangers here in 2019. And that pitch is taken for a strike. And Lifshitz now down in the count, I believe, 0-2. Runner on second base now is Fellenstein. And the pitch is taken down low for a ball. Now, Joe, the Dolphins coming off of a couple of tough losses, 2 very well-pitched games by St. Joe's, Brooklyn, and I believe the Dolphins only had 7 hits in the doubleheader.
It was a struggle at the plate for CSI in that pair of games, and it was a bit surprising to see from a team that comes in hitting well over 300 on the season.
As that pitch is down low for a ball.
But we also saw something in that pair of games that you don't see too often. 2 complete games from the starters for the Bears in those 2 games in that non-conference doubleheader, and you don't see that very often. 1 complete game, let alone 2, and the Dolphins simply struggled at the plate from start to finish against St. Joe's.
The wind and the pitch is swung on and skied in the air into right field. Miola is there, and he'll make the catch for the second out, and taking up and taking a step towards third is Fellenstein, but he won't go anywhere, so Lifshitz flies out to right for the second out. That's going to bring up the first baseman, Matthew Lang. Lang, a big left-handed batter, batting .323 on the year, 30 for 93, 5 doubles, a triple, 4 homers, and 25 RBIs. Sealy winds, and the first pitch is taken just down low for a ball, 1-0. So a lot of home runs in the top of the Ranger lineup. Fellenstein leading off of second base. Celia turns, but no throw. Right-hander looking in for the sign, working very deliberately here in the top of the first, and that pitch is swung on and skied in the air down the left field line, foul out of play, and that'll even the count up at 1-1.
Well, you mentioned the work rate for DeCelia out there on the mound, Mike, and that's been the norm for him so far this season. We've seen a lot of high pitch counts, as I mentioned before, often falls behind against hitters, but in many cases able to get back in those at-bats and record punch-outs as well in many of those cases. He's done a great job on the mound for the Dolphins, limiting damage when he's found himself in difficult situations.
So a runner in scoring position with 2 outs now as Lang will take that pitch up high for a ball, 2-1. Regular season rapidly working its way to a close. 3 big games coming up this weekend. As the Celia looking in for the sign. And the 2-1 pitch is down low for a ball, 3-1. And Joe, Dolphins trying to work their way into that CUNYAC tournament and give themselves an opportunity to get an automatic NCAA bid.
And we'll talk about that more in just a little while, but things did not break CSI's way over the last couple of days in those games between Baruch and CCNY, and the Dolphins will not control their own destiny down the stretch, but we'll talk about that more a bit later.
The wind and the 3-1 pitch is on the inside corner at the knees for a strike, 3-2. Lang taking a step or 2 toward first base. But we'll have the 3-2 pitch coming up here, a runner in scoring position early in the game for Drew. As the CDA trying to work his way out of trouble. The pitch is behind the batter and is going to roll to the screen. And that's going to be a wild pitch as that ball went past Sean Becker, and Fellenstein will go to third base easily. So runners now are at first and third with 2 out, and Drew's still looking for their first hit.
And I mentioned the command issues for the Dolphins as a staff overall and for DeCelia individually, but that pitch nowhere close. And that's something we've also seen quite often, pitches missing well out of the strike zone, allowing base runners to advance and take free bases that wouldn't otherwise be taken if the ball was at least somewhere near the zone, and that was not the case on that last pitch.
That's going to be the 3rd wild pitch of the year. Remember, Joe, that's just in 23 innings of pitching. So the freshman's still working his way around the plate a little bit here in his first year. And that pitch is taken inside for a ball, 2-0.
I said it already once, but DeCelie pitching from behind in the count so often puts himself in a very difficult spot, especially when there are more runners on base. Right now, runners on the corners and 2 away. Only 1 open base for DeCelie to put a man here, but I hate to mention that so soon, but in so many cases, the Dolphins have found themselves pitching with their backs up against the wall, the bases loaded, nowhere to put the man at the plate. Fortunately, that's not the case right now, but DeCelie 1 pitch away from making it such as he's behind in the count 3-0.
So 3-0 once again. 2 runners on for the Rangers, and that pitch is up high for a ball. So the 3rd walk of the inning for DeCelie, and the 2nd time this inning, Joe, that a Ranger has walked on 4 pitches.
And those 4 pitch walks sting even more and allows the next hitter usually to come up and take a pitch, especially with the bases loaded. So you have to assume that Brian Regal will look at least 1 here. But if there's one positive takeaway you can take out of that last walk, it's that it didn't run up DeCelie's pitch count as much as it could have. However, the bases are now loaded with Rangers.
As that first pitch is going to be taken for a ball, 1-0. The wind and the pitch is taken for a strike. That's going to even the count up 1-1. The left fielder, Brian Regal, the batter, as he's going to be the 6th batter to face DeCelie here in the top of the 1st. Drew's still looking for their first hit, but they've loaded the bases with 2 out, and that pitch is going to be taken for a ball, 2-1.
Well, DeCelie's pitch count already in the mid-20s. That last pitch was number 26 for Joseph DeCelie. He's already issued 3 walks in this first inning, and it's not often a team finds themselves with the bases loaded without the benefit of a single hit.
Yeah, the wind and the pitch is taken for a strike now, 2-2.
This is not unfamiliar territory for Joseph DeCelie. He's loaded the bases many times already this season, and in some cases has pitched his way out of it. In other cases, he's forced in some runs.
The wind and the 2-2 pitch is swung on and foul back to the screen, and the count holds even at 2-2. And I think I said before, Joseph, a freshman. They have Joseph, obviously, a senior pitcher for the Dolphins here, and has really struggled with his control, Joe. When he's been around the plate, he's been effective, but it's hard to be effective when you're loading the bases.
Appears that he throws pretty hard. The strikeout number is way up there for him. And in his previous starts, I've said he needs to pound the strike zone and force hitters to make contact. Hasn't done that so far.
And that 2-2 pitch is inside for a ball, 3-2. And there's action in the Dolphin bullpen already, Joe. And I suspect if DeCelie loses his batter, he could come out of the game right here.
It's certainly possible if he issues a 4th walk in this open inning, but I think he may get 1 more beyond this if he does indeed issue the base on balls. Dolphins hope that's not the case.
And that pitch is off-speed breaking pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. So DeCelie walks 3 but strikes out 2 and escapes here in the top of the 1st. No runs, no hits, 3 left. Half inning in the books with the score. Rangers nothing, Dolphins coming to bat. We'll step aside, take a break. You're watching the 15th annual Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night game right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
she doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new.
Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened?
Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
We're back getting ready now for the bottom half of the first inning. Joseph DeCillier worked his way in and out of trouble in the top half of the first, walking 3 but striking out 2. And now it'll be the Dolphins' opportunity to bat as Nick Falcone, the left fielder, will lead off here for the Dolphins, and he will face Jeddy Castillo, as we'll get you the Dolphins starting lineup here in just a minute as Falcone swings and fouls that one back, and that'll even the count up at 1-1. For the Dolphins here tonight, Nick Falcone will lead off and play left field. Jet Navertney will bat second and play second base as that breaking pitch is high for a ball, 2-1. The center fielder will be Dominic Castiglione. Shortstop will be Andrew Nathan batting fourth. Sean Becker will catch and bat fifth. Nick Miola will be the right fielder. He'll bat sixth, as that'll be a swing and a miss, and that will run the count full. Anthony DeMarco will be the third baseman and bat seventh. Anthony Lozada will be the first baseman. He'll bat eighth. And Michael Ciacino will be the designated hitter and bat ninth. The 3-2 pitch is taken up high for a ball 4, so Falcone draws a walk against Jeddy Castillo, and Joe, that's the 4th walk here so far in the first inning.
Well, the pace of this one certainly slow early on, due in large part to command issues for both pitchers. For Castillo, only 1 batter deep, but for Joseph DeCillier, he issued 3 walks in the inning, escaped with a strikeout. That came with the bases loaded. We'll see if he can find his command come the second inning, but it's up to Castillo to do that right now.
So Jet Navertney will be the batter here for the Dolphins as he takes that first pitch on the inside corner for a strike, 0-1. Jet leading the team in batting at .395. 45 for 114, a double, 7 triples, 2 homers, and 22 RBIs. And count even at 1-1. Let's give you the Rangers' defensive lineup here as we'll have that for you here in just a second as that pitch is swung in the air and skied into right field. Pettigrew drifting over into right center field, and he'll make the catch for the first out. 1 up, 1 down here for the Dolphins in the bottom half of the first inning, and that will bring up the third place hitter, the center fielder, Dominic Castiglione.
Castiglione, yet another one of those Dolphins hitters with a robust average, well above 300. Castiglione comes in hitting at .351, and he played a fantastic center field in that doubleheader against St. Joe's Brooklyn as well. Robbed them of some extra base hits, but some really nice plays out there in center.
As he falls behind in the count now, 0-1. For the Rangers, Matthew Lang at first, Cole Bosch at second, Zach Lifshitz at short, Eric DiPietro around at third, as Castiglione taking that for a strike and now falls behind in the count, 0-2. Brian Regal in left, Max Fellenstein in center, Mike Pettigrew in right, Brett Lincoln behind the plate, at Jeddy Castillo on the mound as that pitch is swung on and popped up in the air to first base. Lang drifting back in to fair territory makes the catch for the second out.
After a leadoff walk, a couple of quick outs for the Dolphins. Navertney and Castiglione set down quickly, and that will bring up Andrew Nathan.
So Nathan, the shortstop, batting .343 on the year, 36 for 105, 2 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, and 18 RBIs. We'll get you Castillo's numbers here in just a minute as Nathan swings and fouls that one off down the right field line and out of play and falls behind 0-1. The wind and the pitch is taken just up high for a ball, and that'll even the count up at 1-1.
Looks like Castillo may have wanted that call. Took a long look in after that one was received by his catcher, Brent Lincoln.
1 ball, 1 strike to count. That pitch will be foul back to the screen. And now Nathan down in the count at 1-2. Falcone at first. He drew a leadoff walk. Now there are 2 outs for the Dolphins. That ball is drilled into right center field, but Pettigrew is there, and he'll make the catch for the final out of the inning. So Dolphins get a leadoff walk, but that's all the damage that they could do. No runs, no hits, 1 left. 1 inning of play in the books. No score. We'll step aside and take a break as you're watching men's baseball coverage on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt. And to follow the swimming rules.
You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
Here in the garage.
Closet. Shoebox. Under the bed.
Where anyone can get to it. How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
We're back, and we're getting ready here for the top half of the second inning. No score between the Dolphins and the Rangers, and a quick pitching change, Joe, for the CSI Dolphins.
And after a rough first inning for Joseph DeCelie, in which he did not allow a run, did issue 3 walks and load the bases, but no run came home to score. Didn't matter, as DeCelie's night is finished after only 1 inning of work. He was up over 30 pitches in that first inning, and it is indeed Joseph Tita who comes on in relief of DeCelie. And Tita has gotten some starts this season as well. He'll come in early in this game, and on the 2019 campaign for Tita, he has appeared in 8 games. 3 of those were starts. He's pitched to an ERA north of 11.4 with a whip over 2. In 17 and a third innings, he's allowed 30 base hits, 22 runs, all of those earned. He's walked 7 and struck out 8. Opposing hitters hitting at .385 against him. And Mike, you mentioned it before, this Drew lineup, a very powerful one, a tough lineup to contend with. We'll see if Tita can do that.
So we'll see how Tita does as he gets ready to face the bottom of the order, 7, 8, 9. Here for the Drew Rangers, no score after 1 as Dolphins continue to work their way and gear up, Joe, to what really is going to determine their opportunity to compete in the CUNYAC Championships here. Radically different format than in the past. Only the top 2 teams qualify for the best of 3.
And coming into the next half inning, I'll bring up the graphic with the standings that I prepared before the game. We'll take a look at the scenario for the CUNYAC down the stretch. It's actually very simple, and I can break it down for you in a few seconds. CSI needs to be 1 game better than CCNY the rest of the way in order to make the CUNYAC Championship 3-game series. If the Dolphins outplay the Beavers by a single win, they are in. If the Beavers can match what the Dolphins do in their last 3 conference games, or do better than CSI does in their last 3 conference games, it's going to be CCNY taking on the Bearcats of Baruch College. Baruch's season in the CUNYAC is done.
Wow, so we'll be looking forward to seeing that, Joe, is, for the CSI Dolphins, they've been used to winning CUNYAC championships year after year. This year, the CUNYAC championship will give the winning team an opportunity to play their way into the NCAA tournament.
And you'd love to see the Dolphins be a part of that. Of course, they've won several championships consecutively, have fared extremely well in the CUNYAC postseason tournament. Of course, it's not much of a tournament format anymore. It's only a 3-game series on the baseball side. And right now, if the season ended today, it would be Baruch in the 1 seed and CCNY by virtue of a tiebreaker over CSI in the 2 seed. That could change on the regular season's final weekend. Dolphins have 3 games left against John Jay in the CUNYAC. CCNY takes on Lehman.
As Lincoln lashes that one into right field, and that's going to be in for a base hit. So Lincoln fell behind in the count 1-2 and came into the game batting .264, but hits that one hard off of Tita, Joe, to lead off with a base hit.
Well, I mentioned the success opposing hitters have had against Tita, and we've seen teams hit him hard before earlier this season. He'll look to settle down now, as that is the first hit of the game despite 4 base runners between these 2 teams.
So that's going to bring up the third baseman now, Eric DiPietro. with a runner on first base and nobody out. And Tita's first pitch, and that's going to hit DiPietro, so he'll go down to first base. And just like that, Joe, the Rangers are in business. 2 on, nobody out.
Once again, 2 base runners for Drew, this time through the benefit of a hit and a hit batter. And Tita's put 2 on very quickly, didn't waste any time putting 2 aboard. We'll see if he can wiggle his way out of this one. We saw Joseph DeCelie escape a self-imposed jam, and in this half inning, the Rangers do have the benefit of a hit, but hit batter now puts a runner in scoring position, 2 on, still nobody out.
So for Tita, Joe, that's going to be his 7th hit batter in 17 in the 3rd innings on the year. So he's looking to find his control, as he's really struggled with those hit batsmen. And the first pitch is going to be swung on and foul back to the screen as the right fielder Mike Pettigrew, the batter here. Pettigrew batting .265 on the year, 3 doubles, a triple, a homer, and 17 RBIs. But for the second consecutive inning, Joe, the Dolphins find themselves with trouble on the base paths.
Tita will step off. But the Dolphins pitchers have been no strangers to pitching with men on base. Some of them have been put there via the base on balls, but the whip isn't great either. A lot of hits allowed as well. It isn't just the walks. And I mentioned Tita yet to surrender an unearned run so far this season. He's given up 22 runs so far in 2019, but that has not been the case for many other Dolphins pitchers so far this season. Nick Durst and I went through the unearned run tally in our last broadcast, and it wasn't good.
Yeah, and, you know, Joe, you look at the CSI Dolphins with a team ERA of 6.69 on the year coming into the game today. And, you know, what's always been the strength of this CSI Dolphin team has been their pitching and their depth of pitching. And, you know, this year still looking for answers. And, you know, Coach Mike Morrow looking to get his ducks in a row because, as you mentioned before, 3 big games coming up this weekend, beginning Friday here at the CSI Baseball Complex.
And I will say the pitching has been steadily improving throughout the season. The numbers were really bad early in the year. Very poor pitching through the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. But as we enter the end of that first month of the 2019 season, move forward into April, the pitching has gotten much better. It seems like the coaches have found a group of guys they're confident in throwing out there game in and game out. And the starting pitching especially has been very good over several of the games throughout the last month. And we'll see if the Dolphins can wiggle their way out of danger once again early in this game, though it won't be the starter who does it.
So Tita got the count even to 2-2, but now throws a wild pitch, and both runners will advance. And Rangers now with runners at second and third, and still nobody out, and a full count now on Mike Pettigrew.
Wild pitches have been a problem for the Dolphins as well. 25 of them entering the action tonight, and you mentioned 35 hit batters so far this season. Mike, that's really unbelievable.
It is, and this is their second wild pitch of the night already, and we've only played 1 inning and a couple of batters as that pitch is skied up in the air in the infield in foul territory. Drifting over is the first baseman Lozada, and he'll make the catch for the first out.
CSI gets a gift right there. 2 runners in scoring position, nobody out, and the Rangers don't hit the ball out of the infield, let alone in fair territory. As that's an easy FF3 on the scorecard for Anthony Lozada. There's 1 away.
Yeah, big first out there for Tita as he works to battle his way out of this jam with 2 runners in scoring position. And back to the top of the lineup for the Rangers and Max Fellenstein. And he walked on 4 pitches to start the game, Joe, and ended up being stranded at third. So he's still looking for his first official at-bat and gets his first strike of the game and falls behind 0-1. Tita looking in for the sign, the 0-1. It's up high for a ball, and that'll even the count up at 1-1.
If there's any situation where a walk doesn't kill you, it's with first base open, setting up the potential for a double play, but the way things have gone for the Dolphins, I'm not sure that's something that's even crossing their minds right now. You want to get Felsenstein out here at the plate.
The wind and the pitch is taken down low for a ball, 2-1. And, you know, I'm sure one of the things the coaches are looking for is for the pitchers to get a little bit ahead of the batters a little bit more earlier in the count, as they've constantly fallen behind here so far early in the game, and now down in the count, 3-1.
And I think it's the pitchers who are strike throwers that deserve the opportunities in these games. And there haven't been many Dolphins pitchers who have consistently been around the strike zone and in the strike zone.
The wind and the pitch, and that's way outside for a ball 4. So 5 walks and a hit batsman for the Dolphins, Joe. And the good news is it's still 0-0.
That's great news for the Dolphins, Mike. It's not often you walk 5 batters and hit another and find yourself in a scoreless tie this early in the game with your starting pitcher already pulled. And looks like that's Pat Daddio having a chat with Tita out on the mound. But, Mike, this is something that's been an issue for the Dolphins all season long. I'm not sure we've seen it quite to this extreme yet, but this game is off to a slow start for the Dolphins, off to a slow start for those in attendance. And with one of our best crowds of the year, this is not the kind of pitching you want to treat them to.
Yeah, again, you got to throw strikes, Joe. And, we've talked about it before, but, it doesn't matter whether you're talking about baseball or softball. The most important pitch is always the first one. And, you need to get ahead. And, just looking so far here tonight, the Dolphin pitching just can't get the ball over the plate. So Cole Bosch will come out with an opportunity now with the bases loaded and 2 out. Bosch struck out in the first. He's 0 for 1. No action in the Dolphin bullpen, so it looks like it's going to be Tita's opportunity here to work his way out of trouble. And the first pitch is a swing and a miss by Bosch, 0-1.
Find it interesting they had such a quick hook with DeCelie, who, though he loaded the bases and issued 3 walks, didn't allow a run. It appears as if now they're committed to Tita, who finds himself in a very similar situation.
Let's see if he can work his way out of the jam as that 0-1 pitch is fouled back into the parking lot and out of play. And Bosch now down in the count once again, 0-2.
And Tita's 1 pitch away from putting himself back in the driver's seat. Certainly much easier working in a bases-loaded situation with 2 outs where you can afford a fly ball. Punch out here would be huge.
The wind and the pitch is on the outside corner, strike 3. Nice pitch that time by Tita as he's battling his way back and now finds himself with 2 runners on, but now 2 outs.
And a huge punch out, as I just mentioned, Joseph Tita with perhaps the biggest strikeout of the game since Joseph DeCelie struck out a batter with the bases loaded back in the first. That wasn't too long ago, but Tita with a huge strikeout, and that brings up the most dangerous hitter on this Rangers team in Zach Lipschitz.
So Lipschitz, the batter, he flied to right in the first. He's 0 for 1 and takes the first pitch for a strike and falls behind in the count now, 0-1. No balls, 1 strike, 2 out. The pitch is swung on and skied up in the air. Back into the stands and out of play. And Lipschitz now down in the count, 0-2. So Tita now 1 pitch away from working out of a bases-loaded 1-out jam. And the 0-2 pitch just outside for ball, 1-2.
And the difference, Mike, in these last 2 at-bats, pitching from ahead in the count. A couple of 0-2 counts makes things a lot easier for you out there on the mound. And I can speak to that from experience. Back when I was 10 years old, it was always much easier pitching when you knew that you didn't have your back up against the wall. So we'll see if Tita can close things out here.
The 1-2 pitch is going to be swung on and fouled back out of play, and the count will hold at 1-2. Two out, 3 on here for the Rangers in the top half of the second inning. This game moving at a very slow pace here in the early going, and that pitch is going to be inside for a ball. And the count goes 2-2, and looks like that one might have gotten away from Tita a little bit as Becca had to come all the way back inside. Made a nice play, Joe, just to prevent it from going back to the screen.
I'm shocked that wasn't his second hit batsman of the inning.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. The pitch is swung on and flied into right field. Miola coming over. And that ball will be foul and caught for the No, a foul ball. So it'll remain 3-2. As Miola came over but could not make a play on it. So Lifshitz gets a life, and the count holds at 2-2. So the count holds at 2-2. Tita looking in for the sign. The pitch is up high for a ball, and that'll load the count full at 3-2. The runners will be going with the bases loaded and 2 out. The wide and the pitch is swung on and skied in the air down the third baseline and out of play, and the count will hold full at 3-2.
And you have to think with every pitch that Lipschitz forces Tita to throw here, it sways the at-bat more and more in his favor as Tita's had trouble finding the strike zone consistently, has nowhere to put Lipschitz, and now with a 3-2 count has to come after him with each and every pitch. And I'm not sure that's something he can do at will right now. We'll see. Very dangerous hitter up at bat.
Let's see what happens here with the 3-2 pitch, and that's taken on the outside corner. Strike 3 call. Lifshitz doesn't like to call, but that pitch looked too close to take from here as the Rangers leave the bases loaded for the consecutive inning and have left 6 runners through 2. No runs, 1 hit, 3 left, an inning and a half in the books, no score. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
They'll test you. Try to break your will. But however loud the loudness gets, however many cheese puffs may fly, you're the driver, the one in control. Stand firm. Just wait. And move only when you hear the click that says they're buckled in for the drive. Never give up till they buckle up.
We're back, and we're getting ready now for the bottom half of the second inning. No score between the Dolphins and the Rangers. Drew has loaded the bases in both the first and second innings, but have been unable to score, and the Dolphins will bat here in the bottom half of the second inning with this game tied at 0. But as promised, Joe, an opportunity for us to discuss the Kudiak playoff picture and what exactly the Dolphins need to do to get themselves in the picture.
The Bearcats certainly did not do CSI any favors in their 3-game season series against CCNY. The only way the Dolphins would not have controlled their own destiny down the stretch is if CCNY won 2 out of 3. That's exactly what happened. So now if you take a look at the standings, you see Baruch, CCNY, and CSI all tied in the loss column with 4 losses. And with Baruch having finished their CUNYAC season at 8-4, they've secured at least the top 2 spot, but with winning 2 out of 3 against the Bearcats, CCNY could potentially leapfrog them if they win their last 3 games against Lehman. CSI has 3 games left against John Jay. The Dolphins likely will need to win all of those and hope that CCNY drops at least 1 to the Lightning in order for CSI to make the CUNY postseason championship.
So, Joe, what would happen if the teams finish tied in the number of losses at the end of conference play?
Well, unfortunately for CSI, the Bearcats and Beavers both own the tiebreaker over CSI by virtue of their season series win. The Beavers took 2 out of 3 from CSI, and Baruch took 2 out of 3 from CSI. So the Dolphins are out of luck if those teams end up in a 3-way tie.
As leading off here for the Dolphins in the second inning will be Sean Becker. It will be Becker, Miola, and DeMarco. The 5, 6, and 7 hitters here for the Dolphins scoreless in the bottom half of the second inning as Becker now gets ahead in the count 3-1. Get your Sean's numbers here really quick before we get talk a little bit more about this CUNYAC tournament. As that 3-1 pitch is swung on and fouled back and out of play, and that's going to run the count full at 3-2. As Becker might have chased ball 4 on that pitch. Sean second on the team in batting at 354 with 2 home runs and 20 RBIs, but Joe, the Dolphins got off to a slow start early in the season as Becker's going to take that for a strike 3 call, and that will be the first strikeout of the afternoon for Castillo, and that'll bring up the right fielder, Nick Miola.
Well, Nick Nick Miola has missed quite a few games along the way this season. Got off to a tremendous start. At one point, I believe, was the Dolphins' leading hitter and RBI man, but still hitting above 300 at 310. Has swung the bat very well overall this year, but did miss some time over the last couple of weeks. Is now back in the lineup the last few games and continues to make an impact.
As Miola swings and fouls that one back up over our heads and out of play, and Miola falls behind in the count at 0-1, and Castillo lost the first batter, Joe, on a 3-2 pitch, but he settled down and retired the last 4 and gets ahead in the count 0-1 on Miola. And that pitch is a swing and a miss, 0-2.
Well, the Dolphins hope for more of the same from their own pitching as Joseph DeCelia, of course, got a quick hook after the first inning. Joseph Tita narrowly escaped trouble in the following inning.
The wind and the pitch is taken down low for a ball, 1-2. Third baseman Anthony DeMarco on deck. And the 1-2 pitch is swung on and skied in the air. Backing up is the second baseman, Bosch. He's under it, and he'll make the catch for the second out. So Bosch backed up quickly, Joe, and made the play look pretty routine.
And a lot of those pop-ups on the infield or just beyond the infield here at the CSI Baseball Complex, not always routine. We know what a big factor the wind can be. Fortunately, it does not appear as if the wind will be a factor tonight, though at one point it looked like we might be getting some rain. Fortunately, it appears that's not the case, and we hope it stays that way.
So that's going to bring up Anthony DeMarco, the third baseman. DeMarco coming into today's game batting .238 with a homer and 10 RBIs, and Anthony struggled a little bit at the plate so far here this year, Joe.
He was hitting down around 100 at one point, was actually under a 100 batting average, but he's really picked it up over the last few weeks, now up into the low 2s and continues to climb towards the 250 mark, and I'm sure by the time the season's done, we'll see him a bit above that as he's consistently raising that batting average.
As DeMarco takes that for strike 3 calls, so Castillo has now retired 6 batters in a row, and he strikes out 2 in the second inning. So for the Dolphins in their half of the second inning, nothing across, 2 complete in the books. We'll step aside, take a break. You're watching the 15th annual Grace Hillary Baseball Classic right here at CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door. Sorry about that. You just did the same. Gotta get the boys.
Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
First time I tried Vicodin, it was laying around my mom's house. And then I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
No doubt you're going places, young lady.
Thank you. And thank you for the interview as well. I can imagine it was the last thing that you wanted to do after such a long campaign meeting.
You really are a very intelligent young woman. You're very smooth.
You're very smooth yourself.
You have no idea.
We're back getting ready for the top half of the third inning. Matthew Lang will lead off. It'll be 4, 5, and 6. Lang, Tagliaferro, and Regal for the Rangers as that pitch is taken outside for a ball, 1-1. And, Joe, there's only been one hit in the game, that by the Drew Rangers. But they've shredded 6 through 2 innings.
I don't know if that's a testament to poor hitting with runners on base or the Dolphins pitchers doing a good job with their backs up against it.
As Lang will lash that one into right field, and he'll be on with a leadoff single. So for the third consecutive inning, the Rangers have the leadoff runner on.
And that's often a recipe for success. And I'm sure if you told Drew University and their ball club that they'd load the bases in the first 2 innings and not score, they'd be very disappointed with that, as would any team. But the Dolphins pitchers doing a good job with their backs up against it. As I've said, this team certainly has that characteristic about them where they perform when the pressure's on, and that's been the case so far through the first 2 innings.
So Tagliaferro will be the batter. Tagliaferro walked in the first inning and is ahead in the count now 1-0 against Tita. Tita out for his second inning of work. He allowed a hit, a walk, and a hit bat spin in the second, but was able to get back into the dugout without allowing a run by leaving the bases loaded. Now working with a runner at first base and nobody out. And that pitch is way outside for a ball, 2-0. Action in the Dolphin bullpen, Joe, as the Dolphins just can't seem to get a good start in any of these innings through the first 3.
I think that's Eric Benedetto tossing, Dolphins left-hander, and I think John Esposito is standing nearby.
So 2 balls, no strikes to count as Tita goes over, Lang back to first. Tita looking in for the sign to the pitch. Is thrown and grounded towards second. Booted, recovered, and thrown over to first base in time for the out as DeVertney lost the opportunity for the double play, Joe, but was still able to get 1 out.
And he not only lost the opportunity for the double play, he lost the opportunity to throw out the lead runner at second base as well. And I think that could ultimately prove a bit more costly. We'll see what happens, but Dolphins have booted several routine plays on the infield throughout the season. You hate to see that, and there's another one right there, their first error of the game.
That can't be an error, Joe. They got an out on the play.
You're right. Sorry about that.
So they're going to have to correct that as the wind and the pitch is taken up high for a ball, 1-0. You cannot, of course, assume the double play. And getting it out on the play, of course, eliminates the error. So they'll correct that, I'm sure, as Regal down in the count now 1-0. And the pitch is outside for a ball, 2-0. 2 balls, no strikes, a runner on second base, 1 out here. We're in the top half of the 3rd inning as we approach the 1 hour mark. No score between the Dolphins and the Rangers. The Rangers threatening once again, and now Regal ahead in the count, 3-0. Tito looking in for the sign, working deliberately as well. And the pitch is on the inside corner for a strike, 3-1. And
it's amazing the amount of 3-ball counts we've seen so far in this game, Mike. It's just been 3-ball count after 3-ball count.
Tito looking in for the sign. The 3-1 is swung on, and that's drilled deep into left field as Falcone going back on the ball, and that's going to be off the wall. Coming around third and scoring easily on the play will be Lang. Going into second base will be Brian Regal. It's a 1-out, 1-run RBI double, and the Rangers lead by a score of 1-0.
And that was a shot off the bat of Brian Regal, and Nick Falcone made a tremendous effort just to get there. Nearly caught that ball, but had a long way to go, and it's very dark down in that left field corner as well. May have had something to do with it, though. Looks like most of the lights out there are operational, and maybe he perhaps lost the ball. He got there, though, and could make the grab, as that will give the Rangers a 1-run lead that may seem a bit long overdue.
Yeah, so 2 hits for the Rangers here in their half of the 3rd inning. They pick up the first run of the game and still threatening with a runner at second base. Still just 1 out, and the catcher Brett Lincoln will be the batter. Lincoln had the first hit of the game for the Rangers, leading off the second. He's 1 for 1, and now ahead in the count at 2-0.
Once again, Tita pitching from behind in the count. Certainly doesn't want to issue another walk, but when you fall behind in the count 2-0 and have to put one over, it puts the hitter in a great spot to potentially drive in that run from second base.
2-0 the count. The pitch is swung on and skied foul out of play. Lincoln now ahead in the count at 2-1. Two balls, 1 strike, 1 out, 1 on, 1 run in for the Rangers here in the top half of the 3rd inning And they lead by a score of 1-0. And that pitch is a rope into right field, and that'll be in there for a base hit. Miola will play that ball on a hop. Coming around third and trying to score will be Regal. He'll be out by quite a bit. And the Dolphins getting out on the play. And not sure what Drew was doing on that play, Joe. They ran themselves out of a potential big inning now with 2 outs and a runner on first.
That's as questionable of a send as you will see. The runner waved home there. Perhaps they were challenging the arm of Nick Miola. I'm not exactly sure what the mindset was on that last send, but the runner coming home out by a wide margin. Regal didn't have a chance to score there, and Dolphins gifted another out. There are 2 away.
Yeah, I believe that'll be scored 9-4-2 on the putout, and that's going to bring up the 8th place hitter, Eric DiPietro. DiPietro was hit by a pitch in the first inning, the second inning, I should say, and he's ahead in the count now, 1-0. So a big break there for the Dolphins, Joe. 3 hits allowed by Tita in this inning, but only 1 run allowed, and now 2 outs and a runner at first.
So the Rangers left 6 on base through the first 2 innings, have run themselves into a second out here in the third, and may strand at least 1 more on the base paths in this inning as well. So it hasn't been a great start for Drew in this game, yet they still lead 1-0.
Yeah, they have 4 hits on the afternoon as that pitch is way up high for a ball, and DiPietro ahead in the count now at 3-0. Three balls, no strikes, 2 outs, and the pitch is taken at the letters for a strike, 3-1. And, you know, Joe, it's something we've talked about for a long time. And, you know, the key to success in Division III baseball is make the outs when you can get them and don't put people on base without them earning their way on. And Dolphins have not done a good job of that here early this afternoon and now have walked another base runner to put 2 runners on with 2 outs.
And I'm not sure you'd believe Tita's pitch count if I told you, Mike, but that last pitch was number 50 for Tita already. And it's remarkable that he's thrown this many pitches in such a short outing to this point. But the walks, of course, will do that to you. That's only his second, but it's been a rough inning plus for Tita so far.
Yeah, and I think DeCelier was over 30, Joe, if I'm not mistaken. So the Dolphins now over 80 pitches through 2 2/3 innings of play.
Really unbelievable, Mike. And this, unfortunately, has been the norm for the Dolphins so far this season.
1-0 the count now on Pettigrew. Pettigrew fouled out to Lozado for the first out of the second inning. He's 0 for 1. That pitch is off the outside corner for a ball, 2-0. Tita looking in for the sign now. The 2-0 pitch is way up high for a ball, 3-0, and those last couple of pitches, Joe, weren't even that close.
It's not the first time you could say that. It just puts Tita in a tough spot out there on the mound, puts his team in an incredibly tough spot, but through all of it, it's still a 1-0 game.
3-0 the count. The pitch is on the inside corner for a strike, 3-1, and Max Felsenstein, the leadoff hitter, on deck. He's already walked twice through the first 2 innings. And that pitch is way up high for a ball 4.
There's walk number 3 for Tita, and I think for the Dolphins that is number 6, if I have the tally correct. And either way, not good numbers out there on the mound so far. But again, it's still only a 1-run game, and I think right now you're looking at it at an inning-by-inning basis. Just get out of this half inning and keep your team within a run, and we'll see if the Dolphin bats can come alive, though. It was a very cold day at the plate, as we mentioned before, for the CSI bats against St. Joe's, Brooklyn, and they'll hope to rebound from that over the final 7 innings at the plate in this one.
So Felsenstein will be the batter. As we mentioned, Max has been up twice already in this game, walked both times, and will have his 3rd at-bat here in the top half of the 3rd inning, and that pitch is way up high for a ball, 1-0.
And And the concerning thing here is that not only is Tita pitching around the strike zone, a lot of these pitches aren't even close.
No, they really, these last couple of pitches haven't been anywhere near the strike zone, and he's down in the count now 1-0. And the pitch is taken for a strike, and that'll even the count up at 1-1. Game now over the 1 hour mark in the top half of the third inning. As that pitch is taken up high for a ball, 2-1, and Dolphins just not able to throw strikes. The wind and the 2-1 pitch is swung on and foul back, and that'll even the count up at 2-2.
Once again, nowhere to put the runner for Tito with a 2-2 count. Needs to attack the zone here.
The wind and the pitch is swung on and foul back to the screen, so the count holds at 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. The bases loaded once again for the Rangers. They've left the bases loaded in the first and second innings and have loaded them again here in the third. They've gotten a run across as that pitch is off the glove of Becker, but doesn't roll far enough for the runners to advance, and the count is now full at 3-2.
And that one remained just close enough to prevent another run from coming home, and Dolphins really living dangerously right now, Mike. And they've put themselves in a position where one swing of the bat could put them down 3 or 4 runs, and you can only get away with putting yourself in that position so many times over the course of a 9-inning game.
Let's see what happens here on this 3-2 pitch. Here it comes, and that's not even close. Ball 4. So another walk will force home another run, and the Dolphins now trailing by a score of 2-0 with the bases still loaded, and another base on balls as the Dolphin pitching continues to really not give the team a chance, Joe. I mean, there's no defense for base on balls, and that first pitch is going to be swung on and fouled off by Bosch and out of play, and the count goes to 0-1. And I don't think I've ever seen, Joe, the Dolphins walk the leadoff batter 3 times through 3 innings. It's just really struggling with their pitching here tonight.
How often do you see a team walk 7 batters in a game, let alone in the first 3 innings? It's really been remarkable, but we've spoken about it during many of our broadcasts so far this year. This pitching staff collectively hasn't had great command so far this year. I'll pull up the numbers once again for the Dolphins so far this season. They've issued 136 walks, so just not a number that you can hang your hat on, and it's been rough for the Dolphins so far, to say the least, out there on the mound this year. But that being said, the numbers overall have improved towards a respectable range. The ERA right now, right about 6.7. Of course, you'd like to see the number be a bit less than that. But taking a look at the opposing team's ERAs against CSI, 6.53. And after this next pitch, I'll give you some information on the run differential as well that I spoke about with Nick during our last game.
As that ball is swung on and grounded over towards shortstop, Nathan will flip it over to second in time for the final out of the inning. So Drew only scores a run here in the third, or 2 runs, I should say, and will leave the bases loaded for the 3rd consecutive inning. So Drew picks up 2 and leads by a score of 2-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
I got a creak in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. Never was scared but if you throw me love off the way someone.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in! Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ache than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
We're back getting ready now for the bottom half of the third inning. The Dolphins find themselves down by a score of 2-0 as Lozado fouls that pitch off, and that evens the count up at 1-1. And Joe, the Dolphins very fortunate to find themselves down only 2-0.
Very fortunate, to say the least, Mike. It's not often you see a team strand the bases loaded for the first 3 innings of a game, only leading by 2 runs, but that's the position the Rangers find themselves in right now. Dolphins, again, very fortunate to be down only 2. But if these bats for CSI wake up a bit, as they struggled through the doubleheader with St. Joe's Brooklyn as well, if the bats wake up, they're right within striking distance, still very early in this game.
So Lozado fouls that one off as the count holds even at 2-2. Lozado batting .346 on the year, 19 for 65, a homer, and 13 RBIs as that pitch is fouled off and out of play, and the count holds at 2-2. And Drew has already sent 20 batters to the plate, Joe, through their first 3 at-bats. The Dolphins yet to go through the lineup yet, as Lozado, the 8th-place hitter, as he's going to go down looking on strikes for the first out, and that's going to be the 3rd strikeout of the game for Jendy Castillo.
It's been a good start for Castillo out on the mound. The Dolphins really haven't had an answer. They got a leadoff base runner with a walk and nothing since. So Castillo's been in firm control of this Dolphins lineup so far, and despite struggling their last couple of games, this team has hit very well collectively throughout the season, but Castillo has shut them down through the first 8 batters.
So that's going to bring up the designated hitter, Michael Ciacino, as he bunts and fouls that off to the screen, and the count goes 0-1. Dolphins with action in the bullpen, Joe, so I think we're going to see a pitching change for the Dolphins here in the top half of the 4th.
Wouldn't be surprising. We saw a lot of action down there in the previous inning, or 2, I should say. In the 2nd and 3rd, it was Benedetto throwing and Esposito lightly tossing. It looks like that's the case right now as well.
As that ball's fouled back to the screen, and the count holds at 0-2. Drew leading by a score of 2-0 here. We're in the bottom half of the 3rd inning. The wind and the pitch is a swing and a miss, strike 3. 3 strikeouts in a row now for Castillo. And he has 4 in the game, and it'll be back to the top of the Dolphin lineup, and Nick Falcone. Falcone walked on a 3-2 pitch leading off the game, and he's been the only Dolphin base runner here tonight. Castillo winds, and the pitch is taken for a strike, 0-1. Castillo winds, and the pitch is swung on and fouled down the right field line. Lang will give it a look, but it'll be out of play, and the count goes 0-2. As Castillo really pitching well for the Rangers here tonight, Joe, is he's starting now to get ahead of the Dolphin batters.
And that's been the difference between Castillo and whoever the Dolphins have run out there, getting ahead in the count.
As that pitch is taken just outside for a ball, the Rangers were heading to the dugout, and that looked like a pretty good pitch from up here, Joe.
Well, we've seen a lot of unhappy hitters and unhappy pitchers. Not often you see both of them as animated as they've been thus far.
As he's going to go down swinging is Falcone for the 3rd out, as the Dolphins have the side struck out in their half of the third. Nothing across, 3 complete in the books. The Rangers lead by a score of 2-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder to get those raffles in.
Here she comes. I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
The ceremony was a blast.
It was just like this surreal moment of my dreams are coming true.
When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client."
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into?
We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
We're back getting ready for the top half of the 4th inning, and for the 3rd time in 4 innings, Joe, the Dolphins will have a new pitcher.
It will be Eric Benedetto on the mound for the Dolphins. We haven't seen Benedetto in quite some time, but the Dolphins are looking for an answer when it comes to finding a pitcher who can put the ball over the plate, and they'll hope Benedetto can solve that issue. The Dolphins have already issued 7 walks through the first 3 innings between Joseph DeCieli and Joseph Tito. We'll see if Benedetto, can solve the command issues for CSI.
Well, for Eric, this is going to be his 6th appearance, all in relief. He has an 0-1 record with a ERA up over 35. In 4 1/3 innings, he's allowed 9 hits, 17 runs, all earned. He's walked 11. And opponents are batting .426 on the season. And, again, Mike, Joe, I'm sorry, if your head coach, Mike Morrow, you can't worry about this game here tonight. You got to do everything getting yourself and your pitching ready for Friday and Saturday.
A huge weekend upcoming, but you hate to stagger into that weekend struggling so mightily, be it at the plate or on the mound. And at the plate right now, the Dolphins are still hitless in this game. So Jendy Castillo deserves a lot of credit as well, but the Dolphins pitching simply can't enter this weekend 3-game set with John Jay throwing the ball this way.
As Lipschitz lines that one into right field, and he'll get his first hit of the afternoon. He struck out and fly to right field, so he's now 1 for 3, and that's going to bring up the first baseman, Matthew Lang. Lang walked and singled, so he's been on base both times. Here tonight is the Dolphins the Rangers get their leadoff runner on, Joe, for the 4th consecutive inning.
And I mentioned it before, it's a recipe for success. They really haven't cashed in so far, but we'll see if they can change that here against Benedetto.
As Benedetto throws ball 1, as he's fallen behind on both batters he's faced so far here in the 4th. The 1-0 pitch is on the outside corner for a strike, and that'll even the count up at Lang at 1-1. Lang led off the third, Joe, roped a single into right field, and Dolphins had a little bit of an opportunity at the double play, but couldn't turn it, as that ball is going to be a wild pitch. The 3rd wild pitch of the night for the Dolphins is not the kind of baseball, Joe, you want to play heading into your biggest games of the year this weekend.
Absolutely not. And we've seen the Dolphins play some games where they didn't perform very well, be it on the mound or in the field, where they've struggled to swing the bats, but I'm not sure we've seen something quite like this so far this season. It really has been tough to watch, especially if you're a fan of this team.
As that's going to be a check swing, as he calls this down to the umpire who calls it a ball, and that's going to run the count even now to 2-2. Benedetto looking in. The 2-2 pitch is outside for a ball, 3-2. Actually, that's ball 4. So he'll go down to first base, and Drew with the first 2 base runners on once again. And Dolphins continue to really struggle out on the mound here tonight. And pitch count continuing to build. As I'm sure the Dolphins are over 100 pitches already.
Easily, Mike.
As that pitch is taken for a strike, 0-1 is technically a Farrow, the batter. He walked and grounded to second. He's 0-1. The wind and the pitch, and that's going to be in there for a strike, 0-2. So Benedetto getting ahead of the batter for the first time here in the fourth inning. The wind and the pitch is taken, strike 3 call. So Benedetto gets his first strikeout of the game. 1 out and 2 on. And that's going to bring up the left fielder, Brian Regal. Regal struck out and singled, or doubled, I should say, in the first run of the game. So he's 1 for 2 with an RBI. Benedetto winds, and the first pitch is skied in the air into short right field as the right fielder and the second baseman come together, and Verte and Miola, as neither one could make the play, but the Dolphins able to get the runner at second base.
Dolphins fortunate to get an out there. That ball dropped in between a pair of Dolphins defenders out there in the field, Navertney and Miola, but fortunately for CSI, really no way for the runner on first to be able to tell that ball was going to fall, and the Dolphins very fortunate to record an out on the fielder's choice for out number 2. And Mike, once again, the Dolphins on the doorstep of getting out of an inning unscathed.
Let's see what they could do here now with 2 out, 2 on. Brett Lincoln, the batter. Lincoln 2 for 2 already this afternoon for the Rangers. Runner going as that pitch is taken for a strike, and throw down to second base. Not in time is Regal able to steal second base easily on the play. So now the Rangers with 2 runners in scoring position with 2 outs.
And I was a bit concerned there the runner might take off for the plate as a fan of the CSI team. Fortunately, he did not, but the Dolphins did have a defensive alignment ready for that. Nathan came charging in to grab that ball in front of second base in order to prevent the runner from potentially coming home.
The wind and the pitch as Lincoln chases a high fastball for a strike. So Benedetto 1 pitch away from working his way out of the top of the fourth. Benedetto winds. That pitch is taken outside for a ball. So the count goes to 1-2. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on, top of the fourth, 2-0 Rangers. The pitch, swing and a miss, strike 3. Nice job by Benedetto to work his way out of trouble as he strikes out 2 in the top of the fourth. For the Rangers in their half of the fourth, no runs, a hit, 2 left, 3.5 innings in the books. Dolphins trail 2-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
Listen now, can you hear the bluebirds? Oh, look up now, can you feel the sun?
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
we're back getting ready here for the bottom half of the fourth inning. 2, 3, and 4. Navertney, Castiglione, and Nathan coming to bat for the Dolphins as that ball is swung on and grounded slowly to second. Bosch gets it over to first base, but not in time as Navertney hustling down the line and able to get the Dolphins' first hit of the game, Joe, on an infield single.
And CSI certainly will take it. More importantly, it is the leadoff man on for CSI as they still only trail by a pair with the middle of the order coming up.
So Dominic Castiglione will be the batter. Dominic 0 for 1 here this afternoon as the Dolphins get their leadoff runner on for the second time here tonight. Castillo winds, and the first pitch is taken for a strike, 0-1. Castillo looking the runner back and delivers to the plate, and Castiglione fouls that one off, and the Dolphins fall behind quickly in the count 0-2. And, you know, Joe, we talked a little bit earlier, and you mentioned that the Dolphins' bat's a little quiet in that last doubleheader. Just one hit so far here this afternoon as well, as Castiglione will take that one for a call strike 3. He goes down looking, the 6th strikeout of the game for Gendy Castillo.
And Castillo has been in firm command out there on the mound. An infield hit, the only base hit so far for the Dolphins. And Castillo rebounds from that immediately and strikes out Castiglione to bring up Andrew Nathan, another very dangerous hitter for this Dolphins team.
Nathan flied to right in the first. He's 0 for 1 as Castillo looking in. And the first pitch is just off the outside corner for a ball, 1-0. Castillo ready. The pitch is swung on, and that's drilled into left center field. Regal over, though, and he'll make the catch for the second out. So Nathan hit that one hard, but well played that time by the Rangers.
And that was hit to straightaway left field off the bat. Looked, or I should say sounded, a bit more dangerous than it actually was. We thought Nathan may have gotten a little bit more of that one. He's certainly a home run threat, but got a bit underneath that ball for the second out as Sean Becker will step into the box.
So Becker will be the batter here as the shortstop Zach Lifshitz having a few words with the infield umpire, but Becker will be the batter. Becker 0 for 1. He struck out in the second inning. As it looks like we're going to have a pinch runner here, Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, your attention, please. Pinch running at first base, number 4, Michael Crocco.
Very interesting, Joe, as the Dolphins pinch run for Navertney, so he'll be out of the game.
And you have to think if they're pulling Navertney from this game, it has to be injury related, I would think. Maybe he tweaked something trying to beat out that infield single. I can't imagine any other reason the Dolphins would substitute for their leading hitter in an 8 o'clock, I should say, in a 7 o'clock night game. We're now at 8:40, so can't imagine there's any class that would factor in. Usually that's the issue in situations like that, but it won't be here.
So 1-0 the count now on Becca. As Crocco now running at first, and that pitch way outside for a ball, 2-0. So we'll see if Crocco stays in the game. 2-0 the count on Becca. The pitch is swung on, skied up in the air in the infield. Drifting over is the shortstop Lifshitz. He's under it, and he'll make the catch for the final out. So the Dolphins get a leadoff infield single, their first hit of the game, but that's all the damage they could do. No runs, a hit, 1 left. 4 complete in the books. Dolphins trail 2-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
Be nice. She's new. Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened? Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
We're back getting ready for the top half of the 5th inning, and Joe, for the 4th time in 5 innings, the Dolphins have a new pitcher.
And it will be Daniel Garcia taking the mound for the Dolphins. And last time, or I should say 2 outings ago, when I saw Garcia, he was struggling with his command in that game. I believe it was against Mount St. Vincent. That was quite a while back. I think I've seen him once since. That outing was much better, and we'll see if he can build upon that last outing of his that I saw in tonight's game. Garcia comes in this season with walk numbers much like we've seen from the rest of the Dolphin staff. And Mike, you have those numbers in front of you.
Yeah, I do, Joe. As Garcia coming in with a record of 1-2, a 9.17 ERA. This will be his 8th appearance. He's made 2 starts in 17 2/3 innings. He's allowed 27 hits, 19 runs, 18 earned, walked 9, and struck out 11.
Leading off the third baseman, number 39, Eric DePietro.
So Eric DiPietro will lead off here for the Rangers. Eric walked and got hit by a pitch, so he's been on base twice without the benefit of a hit here so far tonight, and he's ahead in the count 1-0. Garcia winds, and that pitch will be fouled down the third base line and out of play, and that'll even the count up at 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike now. The count on DiPietro. The pitch is taken for a strike, 1-2.
Well, Garcia, facing his first batter, now finds himself ahead in the count. We'll see if he can put him away here and avoid running this count any further.
As that pitch is taken, and that'll even the count up at 2-2. The wind and the pitch is swung on and fouled back up over our heads out of play. The count holds 2-2.
Well, as that ball travels up over our heads, Mike, I know you and I spoke about it earlier tonight, but a ball did find its way in the booth during our last doubleheader against St. Joe's Brooklyn, not only into the booth, but over, of course, over the backstop, barely, as it nearly grazed the railing into the booth through the open window. And, of course, it finds our sound mixer of all places right on the headphone jack that provides volume into our ears. So right now we only have left ear's worth of volume. But, Mike, it's easy to describe it to you and tell you it was a fluke that ball found its way in here. The path and trajectory that ball had to take to get into the booth was remarkable. I could not believe it found its way in and somehow curved around the window pane and into the mixer.
Yeah, it's the magic baseball, Joe, that managed to work its way into the booth and damage our soundboard here as the count holds at 2-2 on DiPietro.
As far as I'm concerned, it wasn't magic baseball, because if it wasn't, I would have seen that it was coming in and stopped it. Obviously, I would have caught it. But I thought for sure the ball was short. I spoke about it with Nick.
As DiPietro rips that one into right field, Miola going back and makes the catch for the first out. So nice defensive play that time by Miola, Joe. He got a good jump on that hard hit line drive.
The Dolphins have a stellar defensive outfield, and if you're the pitching staff for this Dolphins team, make the Rangers put the ball in play. Allow them to hit the ball to the outfield. We almost saw Falcone run one down the left field corner. That one was hit well, but he didn't get there, and a good play there by Miola to chase that ball down. And I mentioned it before as well, Castiglione plays a very strong center field. Give them opportunities and throw strikes and allow the Rangers to make contact.
So Garcia gets the leadoff runner out for the Rangers for the first time here tonight, and he'll face the number 9 hitter, Mike Pettigrew, And he's ahead in the count 0-1, and that one's on the inside corner for a strike 0-2. So Garcia coming out, Joe, and going 0-2 on the first two batters he faces here tonight.
You certainly like to see that. We'll see if he can put Pettigrew away.
As that pitch is a swing and a miss, strike 3. So Garcia gets his first strikeout of the night. 2 up, 2 down for the Rangers. The first time the Dolphins have done that here tonight. And that's going to bring up the center field, Mac Felsenstein. He's been on base 3 times, Joe. He's walked 3 times.
You don't see that too often, especially early in the game.
So the pitch to Felsenstein is taken for a strike, 0-1. Dolphins down 2-0 here in the top half of the 5th inning. The Dolphins with just 1 hit on the night. That was an infield single in the 4th inning. But the Dolphins find themselves fortunate, Joe, to be down just by a score of 2-0, as the Rangers left 11 base runners on through the first 4 innings.
And we've hammered that point home quite a bit, how fortunate the Dolphins are to be so close and within striking distance in this game. But that's been the case in so many of their games throughout this season. They've fallen behind early and remained within striking distance through the middle innings, as there's another hit batter. That's 4 times on base for Felsenstein without a base hit now, Mike.
Yeah, again, some of the numbers that the Dolphins have been putting up here today, very un-Dolphin-like throughout their last several seasons. And Dolphins hoping to play a little bit crisper heading into the weekend. And very little margin of error for the Dolphins this weekend, Joe.
And it looks like we're going to have a guest. I think Anthony Hillary will be joining us the next half inning, so I'll step aside and continue working our graphics and everything on the computer while you speak with Anthony.
Sounds good. As Bosch down in the count now 0-1. Garcia looking in for the sign, the right-hander ready, and the pitch is down low for a ball. Runner goes, and he'll advance towards second, and I'm not sure how they'll score that, Joe.
I'll let you know in a second.
Okay.
I have the live stats in front of me.
Sounds good. I think they might give a stolen base on that.
Looks that way.
1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs now for the Rangers. And once again, Joe, the Dolphins have allowed another runner to get in scoring position.
They've done a good job stranding runners so far in this game, 9 in the first 3 innings, only surrendering 2 runs during that time.
Garcia winds. The 1-1 pitch is nubbed towards shortstop. Played there nicely, or bobbled, I should say, that time by Nathan. And now the Dolphins unable to complete the play at the plate is coming all the way around and scoring on the play as Felsenstein is a bad bit of defense that time, Joe, as the Dolphins threw the ball to third as Felsenstein was heading home, and any kind of decent throw would have gotten him at the plate easily, but instead the throw towards the first base side of the plate, and Drew picks up another run.
You're going to have to fill me in there, Mike. I can't imagine how he came home on that ball. What happened?
Because he kind of got too far off at third, and the Dolphins threw behind him at third base. And, again, any decent throw home to the plate would have had him easily, but instead the throw went toward the first base side. Becker couldn't play it, and that allowed Felsenstein to come home and score. And we'll have to see how they score that one officially, but I would think there would be an error on somebody.
Well, we have an error on Nathan.
Reaching
on an error was Bosch, officially.
So 1 ball, no strikes, 2 outs, and a runner on first, as that one's going to be ripped into right field, and that's going to be a base hit. So that time Garcia able to record the first out, but then Bosch and Lipschitz both getting on base, and Rangers threatening once again, Joe, with 2 outs and 2 on.
Well, Mike, I'm guilty of looking away from the action on that play where the run came home, but the Dolphins have just found ways to put runners on base, all different ways to put runners on base, whether it be hitting batters, issuing walks, the error there, and we can debate whether or not that should have been an error, but either way, it's a play that I'm sure Nathan believes he should have made. Dolphins would have liked to have seen him make to get him out of the inning, but all runs from this point forward in this half inning will be unearned. And again, the Dolphins down 3-0 right now are still fortunate to be this close, especially given the way the first 3 innings played out.
Yeah, so 3-0 the score. And the count 1-0 now on Matthew Lang. In what has not been the most exciting baseball game that we've seen, Joe, certainly.
There's been more walking than running in this one so far, Mike.
2 outs here in the 5th inning. Is Garcia able to record the first 2 outs quickly, but then he hit a batter. Bosch reached on an error, and the gates have opened from there, and the Dolphins have already allowed a run, and Drew threatening for more. The pitch is taken for a strike, and lying now down in the count at 1-2.
Regardless of who the Dolphins have run out there on the mound, the pitch count's been up, and it's been up quickly as Garcia had the first 2 outs relatively fast, but nothing has come easily since.
And the 1-2 pitch is foul back to the screen, and the count holds at 1-2.
And during this at bat, Garcia had thrown 21 pitches, so I think he's now up to 25.
Boy, these pitch counts for these Dolphin pitches have just been very inefficient all night long as the count 1-2, and the pitch is taken down low for a ball, 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, 2 on here in the top half of the 5th inning. Rangers have pushed the run home, and they lead by a score of 3-0. The wind and the pitch is taken on the inside corner. Strike 3 call. So Garcia allows a run, but works his way out of trouble, leaving 2 runners on. The Rangers have now stranded 13 runners through the first 5 innings. For the Rangers, 1 run across. They lead by a score of 3-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and then we'll be joined by Anthony Hillary for the bottom half of the 5th inning. You're watching men's baseball coverage right here on CSI Sportsnet, CSIDolphins.com.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do him like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about that. You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys.
Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
First time I tried Vicodin, it was laying around my mom's house. And then I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
We're back on the air here in the bottom half of the 5th inning where the Dolphins are trailing by a score of 3-0. Nick Miola will lead off, but we're very pleased to be joined once again by Anthony Hillary here on CSI Sportsnet. Anthony, welcome to CSI Sportsnet. Year number 15 of this great tournament.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. It's great being here as always, and luckily we got a great night for it.
You know, Anthony, we actually missed a year last year for the first time ever as the range just didn't cooperate, but it's great to be back out here again once again as Miola grounds that one to third and throw to first in time for the first out.
Yeah, this year the weather worked out perfectly. We got a great night, and unfortunately we had to miss a year last year. It was just weather, like you said, wouldn't cooperate. But this year's been great, and kind of picking up from where we had left off.
Anthony, we've been doing this together for so many years, but for a lot of people that are just tuning in for the first time and really aren't aware of everything that's gone on and how this game has come to evolve, why don't you tell everyone a little bit about the history of this great event?
When I was a freshman here at CSI, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. After about 2 years of battling, she passed away in February of 2004, and it came to the idea that we should have a game to try to raise money in her honor, and fortunately CSI was on board, and from there we just kind of jumped into it, and the college has been so gracious in running with it ever since then.
Anthony, Drew University has always been so generous and has always come down and, has usually donated their meal money towards the cause and, have really been a great partner. I believe this is their 10th year participating in the tournament.
We just got so lucky to have a university close by that happens to have a great baseball program and is so generous. Their coaching staff, and there's been turnover in the coaching staff, and they still want to be on board. There's been turnover in their administration, and they're still a part of it. Their players each year are very generous with their meal money, as you mentioned, and it ends up being a great night for them. They had it worked out one year that they were able to come down, and after that they told the administration at CSI, call us every year, and we'll make room for it. So it's real glad to hear that they enjoy being a part of it as much as we do. As
Lozado goes down on strikes, the Dolphins go down in order once again, and they trail by a score of 3-0 after 5. But Anthony, let's keep it right here for a little bit, and every year we seem to meet some more survivors and some more people that have struggled with this issue, and no different this year. Dawn Catone and Jackie Tripathi both here and both playing a role in the ceremonies here tonight.
Yeah, it's great. That's the cool thing about this event. And now it being 15 years, the different people that we've been able to come across and meet. People that are close to us here at CSI and people that we're meeting for the first time. We've had Mike Morrow's mother-in-law here in the past. My sister is a survivor and has been here throwing out the first pitch. And ironically, with Jackie Tripathi, I taught her daughter at New Dorp High School. I was a teacher. So you come across people, you get to hear their really interesting and incredible stories, and they're an inspiration to anybody who is dealing with this disease, anybody who's dealing with hard times. These people are heroes that deal with this really unfortunate disease, and to see how they fight, to see their courage, it's inspiring every year. So just being able to meet these people, for me, it's just phenomenal.
Anthony, every year, Staten Island comes and we have these great raffles and these 50 raffles and these other things, and this has always been the highlight of the baseball season. Did you ever imagine it evolving into this when you first came up with the idea all those years ago?
No, absolutely not. When I came up with the idea, I kind of stole the idea from my grandmother. She said when we were at my mother's wake, she said, it's beautiful that everybody gives these flowers for in their condolences, but I wish they would give money to a breast cancer fund, that's where the idea sparked from. And, I was a junior. I went to Coach Calley about it. We went to the athletic director about it. Everybody was on board. And I kind of just assumed it was going to be a one-off type of scenario. And, the college said, all right, we're going to do it again next year. And then at the awards dinner my senior year, Jason Fine told me that they were going to continue to do it, which blew me away. And to see how it's grown over the years, and again, to be here 15 years later, and it's incredible. It's amazing to think that my mom has been gone for 15 years, and it's also incredible to think, that this has been, continuing in her honor for 15 years. And, I'd hate to think imagine it not going on for the last 15 years. I think it's just been a great event for the college, for Staten Island, and for the people who have been involved.
Yeah, and Anthony, as everybody continues to look for a cure and progress continues to be made, but they haven't just been able to break through and really finish closing the gap to create a cure for this.
Yeah, and that's why we're here. It's it's kind of like a labor of love, because these are, this is affecting people that are in our families, that are in our community, that are our friends, our relatives, and that's the goal. It's to hopefully get to a point where we no longer have to worry about our our relatives and our friends getting this terrible news and having to fight this really tough battle. So as long as they're still looking for a cure, hopefully we'll still be here trying to raise money for it.
Yeah, and my mother also a victim of breast cancer as well, and fortunately able to survive it. And I could remember like yesterday, just like going to the different doctors, and we couldn't even get the same diagnosis out of them, or the same treatment idea. Not that everybody's heart wasn't in the right place, and this was a little bit of a while ago, but it's just such a challenging disease, and just still such a struggle to diagnose it and treat it properly.
Yeah, absolutely. And even 15 years after my mother being diagnosed, there's been so much progress, but there's still such a long way to go.
As a wild pitch will allow the Rangers to advance towards third base. And, Anthony, Staten Island has, of course, one of the higher incidents of cancer throughout the country. And, not just breast cancer, but other forms of cancer as well. And, it's efforts like these that really make such a difference towards helping everyone try to find a cure for these horrible diseases.
Yeah, and I think that's, part of the reason why, so many people come out for a night like tonight, because Staten Island has a higher rate of cancer. It people have been affected, and people have in their family have had to deal with this, and it hits close to home for a lot of people. And so they're here in memory of people that have dealt with it, and in hopes of helping people that may have to deal with it in the future. So it's always a great turnout, and the Staten Island community always show it's the best of the Staten Island community on a night like tonight, where people come together and are working towards a similar goal.
Yeah, and it was great to see Teddy Atlas here as well here tonight. Anthony, as Teddy was able to come down and join us, and it was really nice of him to come down and say a few words here tonight.
Yeah, especially someone that has such a busy schedule. He's on TV, he's got commitments, and to take time out of his day, out of his busy schedule, to hop on a plane to be here. It's a testament to people like that who have close ties to the Staten Island communities, that members of our community. And show their support, even though they have these really incredible schedules that they have to be a part of.
As the Dolphins able to get a double play on the play, as that ball was lined into right field, and Miola making a nice play and able to get it to Becca for the double play. So nice to see the Dolphins make a nice defensive play there, Anthony.
Yeah, it's been a little bit of a rough night so far, so hopefully they can start stringing a few runs together in the next few innings.
Anthony, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's been going on with you? How's things going? How's coaching going? How's the teaching going?
Good. I can't complain, especially being that we're on spring break. That's the best part of the year when you're teaching. But things are going well. I coach at Petrides. It's been great over there. This is my 5th season. We're 7-2 so far, so we're off to a pretty good start. But tonight was really special for me, also because I was able to bring my little girl here to the breast cancer game. Her name is Grace, named after my mother, of course. And, to see her be here and be a part of tonight and be really excited. She's 2, so she's excited to be anywhere. But she was excited to come see a baseball game and see the boys play baseball. And we kind of, trying to get her to understand a little bit as to why we're here. But just to see her be here and be a part of tonight, again, it's just very surreal thinking 15 years ago where we were to now me being married and having a little girl who's named after my mom. It's a pretty surreal experience, and it's pretty cool to think of.
As that ball is roped into center field, and that's going to be in for a base hit. So Dolphins continuing to get hit hard here so far this afternoon, but still find themselves right in the game.
A couple of runs. They could be right back in this. They've been struggling a little bit, but you got a few innings to go. So hopefully they could get out of this and start putting a tough at bats together.
Anthony, being an athlete at CSI is such a life-changing event, and we always see so many players coming back and really enjoying their experience. What was it like for you being a baseball player here at the College of Staten Island?
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was, some of the best memories I have and some of the best friends that I have to this day. I met here and have here from CSI, my time here. We always a lot of guys come out for tonight's game, and we reminisce about, the memories, the road trips, just all the good times we have. And that's kind of one of the things that we all kind of talk about. You just kind of miss the guys and hanging around the guys and being a part of something. And, it was a great experience, even though, it was a tough period of my life. This is what helped me get through a lot of the difficult times, with my mother being sick.
As that ball is going to get roped into right center field, and that's going to be in for a base hit as the Rangers will pick up a couple of more runs. And Anthony, you're just wondering when it was going to happen. The Dolphins were playing with fire all game long, and the Rangers finally breaking through with a crooked number once again here in the sixth.
Yeah, unfortunately, they've been giving away a few outs, so it's just like you said, a matter of time before they got the big hit, and it looked like that might have been it.
So the Dolphins now find themselves down 5-0 in this game, and Anthony, one thing we've seen with this Dolphin team in the past is they usually have dominant pitching, and here tonight their pitching hasn't been as sharp as head coach Mike Morrow would like.
Yeah, it's been a tough night to have a tough night, I guess. The pitchers haven't been as consistent as I'm sure they would have liked to been. Big crowd, sometimes maybe nerves could get the best of some guys. Hopefully, next couple innings they could start putting it together.
So the Dolphins now find themselves down by a score of 5-0. Is that pitch is going to be a swing and a miss, and now Pettigrew finds himself down in the count at 0-2. And Anthony, did you attend other kinds of events throughout the year? What else do you do throughout the year in addition to the night here tonight?
There's the breast cancer walk in October that we have at the boardwalk that the Staten Island has at the boardwalk that my school, Patrides, actually has a group, organization called Patrides Against Cancer, where they get a group and they walk in the Staten Island Breast Cancer Walk, which is a great event. You see thousands of people come out. It's really incredible to see how many people come out for this event. And again, it's a testament to the community, and also shows how many people have been affected by this. So you get people from all walks of life coming together, and it's really incredible to see what a phenomenal event that they've been able to put together, and it kind of gives you something to aspire to, I guess. Continue to grow and progress here each year. At CSI, it's gotten always a little bit bigger and a little bit better, and more and more people become a part of it. So to see events like that, it gives hope that maybe one day this can continue to grow and continue to be such a great night.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes to count. The pitch is down, and it gets away from the catcher, and coming around second base and coming home to score as the Rangers will pick up their 6th run of the game, and the Dolphins' sloppy play here continues as they find themselves down by a score now of 6-0. Dolphins still fighting for a playoff spot, and Anthony, this as well as anybody. These non-conference games are important, and you want to do well in them. But, for the Dolphins, their big 3 events, their big 3 games will be this weekend, I should say, as they try to fight their way into the CUNYAC Conference Tournament.
Yeah, you always wanted to use exhibition games as an opportunity to keep yourself sharp, keep your pitching sharp, see live pitching, put together good at-bats, build some confidence. That's the hope. You want to play well. Winning's contagious, and unfortunately so is losing. So, you want to take opportunities like this to try to put something together and play well, so that can carry over into your conference play. And I know they got a couple of big games coming up in the next few days as they approach the playoff season.
Yeah, Dolphins in action Friday and Saturday as they need to win all 3 games to really give themselves an opportunity to possibly pass CCNY and work their way into this revised format tournament, as they throw over to first base is not in time. And
that this is a good opportunity to see kind of what the team's made of. When you deal with a little bit of adversity, it's a good measuring stick to see if whether you could pull it together and come together and win some baseball games, or if you're going to fold.
As that pitch is going to be skied to right as Miola is there, and he makes the catch for the second out. So 2 outs now, 3 runs across, and that'll bring up the second baseman, Cole Bosch. And Bosch really the only Ranger not really taking part of this offensive fest here tonight. He's 0 for 4. 0 for 3, I should say, or 1 for 4. That pitch is taken for a ball, 1-0. My scorecard a little messed up.
Well, one more out, and then hopefully they can get back into the dugout and maybe clear their heads a little bit and put together some good at bats and get some runners on.
Yeah, the Dolphins coming off of a doubleheader loss against St. Joe's Brooklyn. They just scored 3 runs in that doubleheader, just 2 of them earned, and just picked up 7 hits. And, just 1 hit so far here tonight, Anthony, and that was a infield single. So Dolphins not hitting the ball well against Castillo.
Yeah, again, it's just one of those things where things like that happen to be contagious. When when things don't go your way, it happens to kind of start to spiral a little bit, and guys start to get down a bit. But that, and on the flip side, there's just 1 hit away from maybe sparking a rally and putting together some good innings, and something like that could really start to build your confidence and maybe change the course of a game or a season for you.
As Bosch now will draw the base on balls, and he'll go down to first base, and not sure what the confusion was down at first base, but the Rangers now with 2 runners on and 2 outs here. As Zach Lifshitz will be the batter. Lifshitz 2 for 4 on the afternoon.
You're not a guy you want to see with men on base.
Yeah, he's the Rangers' best hitter, and a couple of other people, Anthony, we should talk about. You mentioned Jason Fine earlier, but Dave Pizzuto also does so much work, to prepare for this and get this night going. We'd be remiss if we didn't mention Dave for just a minute.
And Dave is just one of the best human beings you can come across. He's just such a nice guy. He puts an incredible amount of work into everything he does. He's behind the scenes in pretty much every event that goes on. I feel like with the sports programs here at Petrides. I was fortunate to be able to see him and speak to him for the Hall of Fame induction for Coach Callie. He came by and we were able to do something for that. And and he's a guy that he's been here since the beginning. He was here when I was a player here, and he was just always so helpful. And willing to do whatever you ask of him, and put things together. And he's been here since day one. Puts an incredible amount of work into a night like tonight. The minute tonight's over, he's going to start working on next year. So huge thank you to Dave Pizzuto for everything he's done for not just me, but for this event and the Staten Island College Staten Island baseball program.
Yeah, and as Lifshitz lines that double into right center field, and he'll pick up another RBI as the Rangers open up a 7-0 lead. But of course, Anthony, this game's so much more than just the score of the individual game. But unfortunate the Dolphins not playing their best baseball here tonight.
Yeah, you hope this is a night like tonight is like a homecoming game where you could pull out a win and have a good performance in front of a nice crowd. Fortunately, the Dolphins are struggling a little bit, but Drew's a good team. They always give a tough game. It's there's no gimmies with a team like this, so you got to come out and you got to play be your best baseball. You can't give away outs, or a good team like this is going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, so the Rangers send their 9th batter to the plate here as that pitch is taken for a ball, and that evens the count up at 1-1. And Anthony, we talk about it all the time, but if you can't get ahead of batters and you allow base on balls, you really don't give yourself any opportunity to win a game.
Yeah, I mean, pitching and defense, that's what any coach will tell you is going to win you or lose you baseball games. You could go through slumps with the bats, but if you're able to get guys out, you'll always have an opportunity to be in a game or pull one out. And that's something that we preach to our guys at Petrides, our pitchers. You got to get ahead of hitters, you got to pump strikes, and keep guys off balance. And, tonight the Dolphin pitchers have been having a tough time.
Yeah, so another hits batsman will load the bases for the Rangers. And that first pitch is taken for a strike. 0-1 is Tagliaferro, the batter. He led off this inning and reached on an error by the right fielder as that pitch is swung on and skied in the air into center field. Drifting back is Castiglione, and that's going to be over his head and roll back to the wall as the Rangers are going to pick up another couple of runs, or 3 runs, I should say, on a bases clearing triple, and Drew finds themselves now up ahead 10-0.
Yeah, he put a good swing on that ball. He got a pretty good pitch to hit, and he drove it into right center field. That was a good piece of hitting.
As head coach Mike Morrow is going to come to the mound, and it looks like we're going to have a pitching change here as Dolphins just not finding a good way to pitch. So we're going to step aside and take a break. Anthony, thanks so much once again for joining us, and it's too bad we couldn't get a little bit better of a baseball game here tonight.
No, I feel like this inning might have been partly my fault, but thank you guys. Thank you so much for everything you guys do. You guys do a great job here, and I appreciate seeing you guys each year.
Thanks, Anthony. That's Anthony Hillary, nice enough to come over and join us here as the Dolphins really finding this game getting broken open and giving up 7 runs here as the Dolphins forced to change pitches once again and find themselves down by a score of 10-0 as the pitching struggles continue for the Dolphins. Let's step aside and take a break. The Dolphins changing pitches as they're down by a score of 10-0. We'll be right back.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt. And to follow the swimming rules. You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
Here in the garage.
Closet. Shoebox. Under the bed. Where anyone can get to it. How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. That's why we're here. We're free and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos. Go to GetSchooled.com.
We're back as the Dolphins still trying to work their way out of trouble with a runner on second base, but they've given up 7 runs, Joe, and Drew has blown this game open. They lead by a score of 10-0.
Mike, it appears a lot has changed since I left the room, or I should say slid my chair back a few feet, but since I left the broadcast, what is it, 7 runs in this inning now?
Seven runs and a lot of poor play by the Dolphins, Joe.
Unfortunately, that started long before this inning, Mike. They just struggled to find the strike zone early. Were able to stay out of the big inning anyway early in this game, but the Rangers have broken things wide open here in the 6th. And I've said it so many times before, this Dolphins team is never really out of a game. We've seen them come back in the toughest of situations, down 6 runs in the CUNY Championship, came all the way back to win that game. But as much as the Dolphins have fought back throughout the season from behind, they haven't been able to overcome a deficit like this. And this isn't the first time we've seen the Dolphins down big, and may not be the last.
As that ball is ripped into left field, and that's going to be in for the base hit, is coming around third and scoring will be the Rangers with their 11th run. They've scored 8 runs here, and they lead by a score of 11-0.
And I think the concerning thing here for the Dolphins, among many, is that the issues they've had aren't improving as the season goes along. The walks are still a problem. There are still some routine plays that they haven't made in the field, and they've gone cold at the plate at times. And it's been really difficult for them so far this year. And without correcting some of those issues I mentioned, those are just to name a few, it's tough to imagine them picking up the wins necessary down the stretch to get into the CUNY Championship Series. But there's still a lot of baseball left, a lot of important baseball left to be played this season. And I've said it before already, as that one's lined toward the middle, and that will end the inning. But as I've said before, Mike, if the Dolphins can get the big hits and make the big plays down the stretch of this season, the complexion of the year changes completely, regardless of how 2019, regular season anyway, plays out. If the Dolphins can sneak their way into the CUNY Championship Series, anything can happen, and they'll look to make it 5 in a row if they do so.
So the Dolphins give up 8 runs in the Rangers' half of the 6th inning. They trail 11-0. We'll step aside, take a break, and we'll be right back.
We have the Charlie Blackman signed.
I got a crick in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. But if you throw me love, I'll throw you some more.
Hi, I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit savethefood.com.
We're back, and we're getting ready for the bottom half of the 6th inning, and the Dolphins will start that bottom half of the 6th inning with a pinch hitter, as Vincent Brennan will lead off. And he swings and misses at the first pitch and falls behind in the count. 0-1 is Castillo out for his 6th inning of work, and he's pitched a great game so far, Joe, for the Rangers.
He certainly has, and that's been lost in the struggles for the Dolphins. Of course, a lot of the time we'll call the action from the perspective of CSI Dolphin fans and spectators, as of course we're covering the game from the College of Staten Island. But Castillo's pitched extremely well, but given that he's pitched very well, he has had a long layoff since the last time he took the mound. His team scoring 8 runs in the top half of the 6th inning, burying the Dolphins below an 11-run deficit. And I think CSI is looking to clear the bench the rest of the way, get some of their reserves, some at-bats, and that starts here with Vincent Brennan. I think that's Robert Maglino in the on-deck circle. So it's very likely we'll see the Dolphins clear the bench here, get some of their reserves, some late-game plate appearances. And in many cases so far this year when the Dolphins have had to turn to the bench, they've hit the ball pretty well. A lot of these young players very good at the plate. So we'll see if that continues late in this game and if there's any positives the Dolphins can take away from this one.
So Brennan swings and fouls that pitch off and stays behind in the count now at 1-2. The wind and the pitch is taken on the outside corner, strike 3 call. So another strikeout for Castillo. He's got 8 in the game.
Pitching for the Dolphins, number 3, Robert Maglino.
So Robert Maglino will be the batter as he'll pinch hit for Nick Falcone.
Michael Crocco stands in the on-deck circle. He'll get his first plate appearance after replacing Jet Navertney on the base paths.
as that pitch is going to be taken. See if we can get you McLean those numbers. Batting .273 on the year, 6 for 22 with 3 RBIs. That's count evens at 1-1. Two balls, 1 strike now to count. The wind and the 2-1 is on the outside corner. Actually, that's going to be strike 3. So 2 consecutive strikeouts here for Castillo. So Michael Crocco will be the batter. Crocco came in to run for Jet Navertny, Joe, after Navertny led off the 4th inning with a leadoff single, and then came out a batter or so later, Joe, as Crocco falls behind in the count now 0-1, and we don't have any update on Jet, but he's probably been the best player, certainly their best offensive player of the year. And they could ill afford anything happening to him, as that's going to be a swing and a miss, as Crocco now down in the count 1-2.
Well, Navertny certainly has been the Dolphins' best offensive player so far this year. He leads them in most major statistical categories at the plate, as that's on the ground over to second. And this should bring the inning to a close, as the scoreboard reads 1 out. There are now 3 outs in the inning, so I'll have to bring up my point about the Dolphins having not much time left to turn things around this season. When we come back, I'll run through the remainder of the Dolphins' schedule, and it's only 4 games to go for CSI after today, and we'll talk about those when we return from this break. Dolphins trailing 11-0 on Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night from the College of Staten Island.
The Nets have 31 points.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors.
You tell me to stay away from drugs.
To always buckle my seatbelt. And to follow the swimming rules.
You're always looking out for me and trying to keep me safe.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer? Here in the garage.
Closet. Shoebox. Under the bed.
Where anyone can get to it.
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. If you own a firearm and are not using it, please be responsible and be sure that it's stored in a safe place. Remember, always lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org.
Mom.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for information on how to provide even better care for the person who wants to care of you.
And we're back from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins trailing the Rangers 11-0. And Mike, before the break, I spoke about the Dolphins not having much time to get things turned around this season. They only have 4 games remaining. 3 of those games are crucial against John Jay. All of those will be played this weekend. 1 here at the College of Staten Island on Friday, and then a pair on the road come Saturday. And those games will determine the fate of the Dolphins in the CUNYAC this season. As I mentioned earlier, and as we brought up the standings, we'll do so again in a short while when we have a break in the action. But we brought up the standings earlier. Dolphins in a 3-way tie in the loss column with Baruch and CCNY. The Bearcats are done in the CUNYAC. CCNY and the Dolphins are tied at 5-4. Both of those teams have 3 conference games remaining this weekend. The Beavers own the tiebreaker, so CSI will have to play 1 game better than CCNY this weekend to earn a berth into the CUNY Championship 3-game set.
Yeah, and, of course, Joe, that's going to make it very difficult for the Dolphins, considering they're only playing 3 games. And, you got to come out here on Friday and make sure that you take care of business. Very little room for error for the Dolphins. And, I know that, there was a lot of hope that the Dolphins would go into this final 3-game set controlling their own fate, but not to be.
Certainly no help from Baruch in the pair of games against CCNY over the last couple of days. I believe one of those games scheduled against CCNY was made up today and was ultimately, or I should say previously, rained out in the prior days. But anyway, Baruch and CCNY wrap up their 3-game season series with the Beavers taking 2 of those 3 games. And because of that, the Dolphins no longer control their own destiny, as you mentioned. And there is one more game the Dolphins will play following their 3 against John Jay, and that's a single game against Mount St. Mary on the road April 29th. So that will wrap up the regular season for CSI. And their time to correct the issues that they've had is running out as Becker took that foul ball off his face mask and may have been shaken up just a bit. But during the break, Mike, you and I were speaking about the pitch count for this Dolphins team and whether or not we could get the total pitch count. We can. We're going to see how good my math is right now. I have every pitcher's total in front of me. Joseph DeCieli threw 30. Joseph Tita threw 66. So that's 96 right there. Another 19 for Eric Benedetto brings us to 115. 27 for Daniel Garcia. 142. Michael Lenahan threw 35. That's 177. And Alexis Santos has thrown 10. So that's 187. So the Dolphins, as a team, 187 pitches in this game, and we're in the top of the 7th with 1 out.
Wow, that's a lot of pitches as that ball grounded slowly to the mound. And Dolphins get the first 2 outs here, Joe, here in the 7th.
I'm very fortunate I take over the play-by-play, and we have a quick 2 outs in the top half of the 7th, but I know better than to get excited about that too soon, as the Dolphins have gotten the first couple of outs without loading the bases or allowing a run several times already, and many of those innings have been prolonged. Not all of them have resulted in runs, but the last couple have, with 1 in the 5th and another 8 in the 6th for the Rangers. And things just haven't really improved for the Dolphins as this game has gone along. You were thinking they narrowly escaped some tight jams early, might be able to turn things around later in the game, but it wasn't to be, as things really were broken wide open in the previous inning by Drew University. And the way things have gone for the Dolphins at the plate, still only a single base hit. It doesn't appear as if the Rangers will look back and should cruise to a victory in this game, as the Dolphins' only hit has been of the infield variety.
Yeah, that was a leadoff single, as we mentioned, Joe, by Jet Navertney in the 4th. That's going to be another base hit, as the Dolphins unable to retire the Rangers in order at any time here tonight, and the barrage continues, Joe.
It's been a hit parade for the Rangers in this game. That might be 14. I don't know how quickly they got it up there on the scoreboard, but right now it reads 13 hits, and I think it is 13 hits right now for the Rangers. So 13 hits for Drew, still only 1 for the College of Staten Island. And no matter where you look on your scorecard or on the live stats online, it's all Drew in this game. And the Dolphins just hope to get to the finish without any setbacks for their final 3 games. That didn't sound good, as that foul ball found its way into the parking lot, and that may have hit a vehicle, but for the sake of our spectators, we certainly hope not.
Yeah, and Joe, that you mentioned that the Dolphins will conclude their regular season following those 3 games against the Rangers, as that ball's ripped down the left field line but foul. And that last game will either be a tune-up, Joe, to get the Dolphins ready for their best of 3 in the CUNYAC tournament, or the conclusion of what will have been a disappointing regular season for the Dolphins.
And I've said it several times already. I'll say it again. How this season ends, the regular season that is, the entire complexion of the year changes if the Dolphins can find their way into that 3-game CUNY Championship Series. But that's the end of this half inning, and we will stay right here as Anthony Hillary will have a few words to say. We'll try and bring those to you as we place our microphones outside the window. We'll be right back with more CSI Dolphins baseball after Anthony's words here on CSI Sportsnet.
Is who we honor tonight. And fans, at the conclusion of Anthony's words, we ask that you remain standing for a stirring rendition of Amazing Grace. Without further ado, Anthony Hillary.
I'd just like to thank everybody for being here tonight. Of course, we have to thank Drew University Year in, year out, Drew University's here. They're a first-class program. Their coaches, their players, their administration being here every year. They've been a phenomenal partner for our event each year for quite a while now. So we have to thank them so much for being here year in and out. Thank you. And of course, CSI. 15 years ago, we started this. I kind of thought it was just going to be something we did while I was a junior and a senior, and then, that would be the end of it. But here we are 15 years later. The administration, the coaches, Coach Morrow, everybody that's been involved over the course of the last 15 years. I couldn't imagine that this is still going on, and going on long enough for me to bring my little girl here 15 years later. It's really incredible, and I have to thank the coaching staff, I have to thank the administration, the players, everybody that's been a part of this put so much effort, so much work into tonight to make it possible year in, year out. And I can't thank them enough for what they do, not just for the school community, but for my family, myself, and for Staten Island. So Coach Morrow, the administration here at CSI, the players, thank you so much for everything that you guys have done for the last 15 years. And of course, all of you that come out each year, participate in a night like tonight, spend your money on a night like tonight to support a great cause. A lot of people here on Staten Island, unfortunately, are affected by a disease like breast cancer, and it's something that we have to keep fighting against because it affects our friends, our family, and unfortunately, sometimes it affects multiple people in our family. So, for you guys to be here and being a part of tonight, fighting for such a great cause. Again, we wouldn't have a night like tonight without any of you. So thank you so much for being here. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest of the game. See you next year. Thank you.
Amazing grace, sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again. Thank you to Anthony as well and the Hillary family for allowing us to honor Grace Hillary each and every year. Thank you very much.
Go, Nick.
And we're back from the CSI baseball complex. I have to adjust our microphones for just a moment, so I apologize if I just busted your speakers, but we had to adjust the volume so that you could pick up Anthony Hillary's comments from the field during the break between the top and bottom of the seventh inning. And the Dolphins will come to the plate trailing by 11 runs in their half of the seventh. And a string of pinch hitters and replacements will continue for CSI, as it will be Nicholas Dodato leading things off in the bottom of the seventh.
Yeah, and, Joe, not only the concern for the Dolphins, their struggles on the mound, but, you go back to their last doubleheader, just picking up 7 hits in the 2 games and just 1 infield hit here tonight.
Dolphins offense has been anemic in their last 3 games. Simply nothing going on at the plate. You hate to see that continue on a night like this. You hope to treat the large crowd to an entertaining game. And our last game on Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night certainly fit the bill. A 3-2 Dolphins victory. A very close game in that one, but unfortunately that hasn't been the case tonight. And CSI offense just hasn't gotten anything going in this game. And if there's ever a wake-up call for this team, this has to be it, because you're out of time before that 3-game set with John Jay that will ultimately decide your fate this season. And you can't stumble into that 3-game set worse than this. So if there was ever going to be a wake-up call, now is it. And the Dolphins need to rebound this weekend. Ultimately, though, what happens in tonight's game really doesn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, the Dolphins are playing to secure a berth in that CUNY Championship Series, and they have as good a chance as CCNY right now of doing that, with both teams having 3 games remaining. And if the Dolphins can outplay the Beavers by a single game, they're in. But if both teams perform the same in those final 3 games, or the Beavers perform better than CSI, the Dolphins will see their season end.
Yeah, and, like you mentioned before, Joe, that if both teams go 3-0, then CCNY will make the playoffs and the Dolphins will go home. So, those early season struggles for the Dolphins coming back to bite them a little bit, Joe.
Well, I'm going to try and figure it out from looking at the CUNY standings right now, but I want to try and take a look and see how CCNY has fared against some of the other teams in the CUNY Act. Taking a look, they lost 1 game to Baruch and 1 game to Staten Island. So the Beavers have 2 losses coming to Baruch and Staten Island. The other 2 losses both had to have come against John Jay, since the Beavers have 4 defeats in the CUNY Act. So they actually lost the season series to the Bloodhounds, went 1-2 against John Jay. And looking at Staten Island, they've lost a pair to Baruch and a pair to CCNY. They've swept Lehman, as here comes an 0-2 pitch, and that's in for a called strike 3. And Nathan goes down quickly for the first out. That will bring up Sean Becker. But the Dolphins this year, again, all 4 of their losses coming to Baruch and CCNY. So the Dolphins, in all likelihood, will need to win all 3 against John Jay in order to get into the CUNY Championship Series. But trying to figure out these scenarios, just looking at the standings, isn't an easy thing to do as I stumble over my words. But I think I laid it out, at least in the right words, if not coherently anyway.
And, the one thing about the CUNY Conference, Joe, is that you never know what's going to happen. So it should be an interesting weekend. And
that one thrown into center field on a hop. It gets underneath the glove of the shortstop covering. I think we have some defensive replacements as well. And now hung up between first and second is Sean Becker. Remaining planted over at third is Dodado. And you just hate to see that kind of base running when you're down 11 runs. And of course, now is not the time to try and force it, and that's exactly what Becker did there. And that ball didn't get away very far. Nice job backing up in right field. And I'm not sure who's still out there defensively for the Rangers. There were a lot of substitutions coming into this inning. I'll try and figure it out. But either way, the Dolphins now batting with 2 away in their half of the 7th. And it's another pinch hitter for CSI. This time it's Khalid Zaraya.
Yeah, and Joe, that's the continuation of the sloppy play here for the Dolphins. And, being down 11 runs, it's, you obviously can't get yourself thrown out on the base paths. And, Becca does that here. And, just another thing to the bucket list that head coach Mike Morrow's going to have to work on between now and Friday. And that's not very much time.
I'm taking a look at the alignment for Drew right now, and I don't think there were any substitutions that I can see. So, in fact, that is the same group out there defensively that we saw earlier in the game. As the 0-2 pitch is in for a called strike 3, so Zaraya goes down quickly, as did Nathan in the inning, and the third out came on the base paths as Becker was hung up between first and second. He was tagged out for out number 2 before that strikeout brings the inning to a close. Our score through 7, 11-0 in favor of Drew. They come to bat in the top of the 8th when we return.
Here she comes. I, Krista, take you, Jamie, to be my wife.
The ceremony was a blast. It was just like this surreal moment of my dreams are coming true. When we found out that we were pregnant, we were just elated. We were just sitting there waiting for the pediatrician. She said, "Oh, I apologize. She won't be taking you in as a client."
We are a lesbian couple, but she's just a baby. She's the one you're denying the service to.
And sitting there in that small, cold room, I wanted to cry, just thinking, what did we bring this kid into?
We're simply asking to treat our family the same way that you would treat any family.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
And we are back from the CSI Baseball Complex, and you don't need to adjust your screens wherever you're streaming this game. Our score is 11-0, entering the 8th inning as the Dolphins' struggles continue. And I'm not sure we mentioned it earlier, but the Dolphins did enter this game with the Rangers having lost 4 consecutive games, all coming out of conference, and it looks like that streak is about to be extended to 5 consecutive losses. As for the Rangers, they entered tonight's matchup with CSI having lost 4 straight against the College of Staten Island, a streak that will also be snapped tonight, or I should say a streak that will be snapped tonight. The Dolphins' losing streak against non-conference opponents and overall now at 5 games, should they drop this one, will continue. And they'll finally play some important conference games this weekend. We've spoken about them many times, but that's because the action in front of us simply hasn't been all that competitive. And the Dolphins this weekend will take on the Bloodhounds of John Jay College in 3 games that will ultimately decide the Dolphins' fate this season in the CUNY playoffs. And, of course, the Friday game will be streamed right here on CSI SportsNet as that's popped up on the infield. And waiting to see who would call it on the left side were Nathan and I think that's Joseph Manzi over at third base. So Nathan and Manzi both circling underneath that ball. It's ultimately Nathan who makes the catch for the first out.
Yeah, and, Joe, it's, the Dolphins down in this game 11-0, and if anything, it feels like it's even worse than that, and it feels like they're down even more. The Dolphins, in addition to allowing 13 hits, have allowed 10 walks, and, really since the first inning of the game, Joe, even though, they were able to escape without allowing a run for the first couple of innings, the Rangers left the bases loaded in both the first and second innings, and you knew if the Dolphins didn't get things turned around, it was just a matter of time, and, really from there, things have just gone downhill for CSI here tonight.
Unfortunately, it's been that kind of season for the College of Staten Island so far, and I said it many times earlier this year. This Dolphins team was a team that, regardless of what position they found themselves in any given game, you could never count them out. But despite battling back in many of their games so far this season, the deficit has been simply too great in many of those matchups. They've found themselves down nearly double-digit runs in many games already so far this year. They've dropped a lot of games by double digits. Taking a quick look down the schedule, it's been a rough year so far for CSI, but as I said, what happens during this stretch run come this weekend against John Jay and in a potential CUNY Championship Series can change the entire complexion of the season. And unfortunately, without much baseball left to be played, that's what the Dolphins hope to be looking forward to and moving forward to beyond this weekend. But if they go into that series against John Jay Friday and Saturday playing like this, it's tough to imagine they come away with the victories necessary to overtake CCNY.
Yeah, Joe, one of the key things the Dolphins are going to need this weekend is consistent pitching. And, you just can't allow free passes in these big games. And, again, the Dolphins with a lot of base on balls tonight, a lot of walks tonight, and that's not even counting the wild pitches and hit batters. And, again, it's going to be falling on head coach Mike Morrow and the coaching staff to get this team ready for Friday, not just in a physical sense, Joe, but, you mentioned they've now lost 5 consecutive games in a row, just a couple of hits here tonight, and, Dolphins really struggling in all 3 phases of the game right now.
They have, and I spoke about it before, that the Dolphins were really doing several things poorly, whether it be commanding the strike zone, making some of the routine plays in the field that are necessary to win games, but really, the last 3 games now, the Dolphins have struggled at the plate as well, and that's something that's been consistent all year long. The Dolphins have swung the bats very well, team hitting well above 300, several hitters hitting well above 300. You take a look at their top 5 hitters. You have Jet Novertny at 395, Sean Becker at 354, Dominic Castiglione at 351, Anthony Lozada at 345, and Andrew Nathan at 343. When you have 5 hitters in your lineup playing just about every game that are swinging the bats that well, it's tough to imagine going now 8 innings, or I should say 7 innings, without scoring a run, and they'll hope to avoid making it 8 in their next turn at bat. Coming up when we return from break, our score remains 11-0 in favor of the Rangers. More CSI Dolphins baseball on CSI Sportsnet when we come back.
Do you want to retire like a champ? Just like legendary basketball star Uncle Drew?
Don't do it like that, Uncle Drew!
You're already acing the game. You've got your dream ride.
Don't be slamming my door.
Sorry about
that. You just did the same.
Gotta get the boys. Your dream vacation and your dream team. And now you can make your retirement just as legendary.
I get buckets.
Get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
First time I tried Vicodin, it was laying around my mom's house. And then I kept taking them whenever I could get them. I didn't know they'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far it'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
And we're back from the CSI Baseball Complex. Dolphins trailing the Rangers 11-0, entering the bottom half of the 8th inning. And Mike, the struggles for CSI have continued, throwing strikes from the mound, but at the plate as well, the Dolphins have really been shut down by Jendy Castillo in this game, and lost in the struggles for the Dolphins has been a tremendous pitching performance by the starter for the Rangers.
Yeah, he's done a really good job. He came out and, didn't allow the frustrations of the first couple of innings for the Rangers when they left the bases loaded in both innings affect him in any way. And, he's pitched a very strong game. He's pitched a very efficient game, and finds himself with a shutout now heading into the bottom of the 8th.
And we'll see if he can preserve that. I'm going to have a pitch count on him in just a moment. Actually, it looks like our live stats are down, so I won't have a pitch count on Castillo. That's why I removed the scoreboard.
I'm sorry, Joe. I think he had 93 coming into the inning.
So that would put him at approximately 97 right now as he issues the leadoff walk to Joseph Manzi, and that will bring up John Pomerico. Pomerico came on earlier in the game in place of Anthony Lozada. He's now playing first base for the Dolphins and has been, I believe, for at least 3 innings now, as he doesn't have an official plate appearance yet in the game.
Yeah, and we had that we had the 50-50 raffle drawing at the in the middle of the last inning, Joe, and that sent some of the remaining crowd home.
I can't say I blame them, as the Dolphins find themselves beneath an 11-run deficit right now and have shown no signs of the bats waking up in this game. And I said it before, the bats have not been the issue for the Dolphins so far this year. It's really been the command of their pitching. They have been hit hard at times, but in many cases, they put themselves in a position where they put multiple runners on base, have to attack the strike zone, and perhaps they don't come into the zone with their best pitch, just trying to get one over, and that's when the big hits have come against them, with runners on base that have often been put there via the base on balls or advanced on a wild pitch, maybe even hit by a pitch, as we saw before. The Dolphins coming into tonight's game with 35 hit batsmen. It's really been a train wreck at times on the mound, and I said it before too as well, the Dolphins starting pitching in many cases has been good. And it's when they've had to go to the bullpen for multiple innings, especially in some of these 9-inning games, where they found a lot of trouble. They just haven't been able to piece it together beyond, in what some cases was a good start.
So Castillo now finding himself down 3-0 in the count and gives up the base on balls. Dolphins with their first 2 base runners on here, Joe, in the 8th.
We'll see if the Dolphins can put something together in this half inning. It's Vincent Brennan stepping into the box for his second at bat. He's 0 for 1. But taking a look at some of the numbers for the Dolphins, John Esposito has had a fantastic season. He's won 3 games for the College of Staten Island, but he also has 3 defeats. Very easily could have won 2 of those games. One of those defeats was his last start. He only allowed 1 earned run in that game over 4 innings against St. Joe's Brooklyn and ended up a tough luck loser in that one. So Esposito certainly hasn't been treated well in many cases by his defense behind him. In other cases, hasn't gotten the run support he's needed. But he's pitched extremely well, and the Dolphins have wasted some of those performances. Stephen Kalika and Salvatore Trancucci have also pitched well for the Dolphins this year so far in some starts, some relief appearances. But we've seen a lot more of Esposito getting starts for the College of Staten Island so far in 2019, and the Dolphins haven't made the most of those, many of which have been quality starts.
Yeah, Joe, just backing up some of the numbers that you're talking about, Esposito allowed 24 runs on the year, but just 8 of them earned.
That's unbelievable. I didn't realize how significant the disparity was between his runs allowed and earned runs, but that just goes back to my point. The defense behind him has betrayed him in many cases, and we've also seen many balls travel to the backstop. A lot of them have been wild pitches. Sean Becker has been busy behind the plate, but there have been some pass balls in there as well, as that's an infield fly to the left side. The batter is out, and there's one away as Robert Maglino will be the batter. But taking a look at some more pitching numbers for the Dolphins, I'm trying to get an idea of how the starting pitching has fared overall, and it's impossible to tell which numbers came as a starter and which have come in relief appearances for many of the Dolphins pitchers. But you take a look at Kevin Ryan and Joseph DeCieli, both have started at least 4 games. Ryan has started 4 times over 11 appearances, and DeCieli has started now 6 times over 7 appearances after tonight. And DeCieli has pitched to an ERA below the team average, as has Kevin Ryan. And that's despite a tough outing for Ryan in his last appearance, as he entered that game against St. Joe's Brooklyn with an ERA of 4.6. His ERA jumped almost a full run, now at 5.4. So Ryan was hit pretty hard against the Bears the other day, and that inflated his ERA a bit. But he pitched pretty well for the Dolphins on top of the work he's done in relief so far this season. I should mention, again, only 4 of those 11 appearances for him coming in the form of starts.
Yeah, and unlike softball, Joe, it's not like you can run these pitches out for a doubleheader or start them twice in a couple of days. So, chances are we'll only see Esposito 1 time, and very likely I think that game might be this Friday home game, Joe, is, you can't win all 3 without winning the first one, and I think head coach Mike Maul might want to put his best pitcher on the mound for that first game.
We'll see how he elects to use his pitching as Maglino goes down swinging for the second out. That will bring up Michael Crocco, but should be very interesting to see what the plan is this weekend for the Dolphins pitching staff. Taking a look at tonight's game, they started Joseph DeCieli, but a lot of the other arms they ran out there aren't arms that we've seen take the mound too often, especially in starting roles. We saw Joseph Tita get a start against Yeshiva. I believe he did start another game recently as well. Might have started one of those games against St. Joe's, if not a game earlier in the week, but he certainly did get a start over one of the last few games anyway. And taking a look at who's gotten out there tonight for the Dolphins, it's been a plethora of pitchers so far for the College of Staten Island. Of course, getting it started, as I mentioned, was DeCieli. He was followed by Tita, Benedetto, Garcia, Lenahan, and now Santos for the last 2 1/3. So the Dolphins already have used 6 pitchers in this game, and if Santos could get them to the finish, I'm sure that's something they'd really appreciate as a team.
Yeah, at least he's been able to come up and eat up a couple innings, Joe.
Well, hasn't allowed a run either, so he's pitched pretty well. And after a rough start to the season for Santos, he's certainly improved his work out on the mound as well. And that's really been a trend for many of these pitchers, having improved as the season has gone along. But when it comes to the walks, that's something that just hasn't been corrected. And I'm not sure it's something we'll see get corrected. They're running out of time. It's been an issue for such a large portion of this season already. I think walking batters is something that this Dolphins team may have to contend with the rest of the way, because very few pitchers have had complete command of the strike zone out on the mound.
Yeah, they're up over 4.5 walks per 9 innings, Joe, and that's a lot of walks.
Certainly is, and that's something that hasn't improved, as I've said, though. Overall, the pitching numbers have improved in terms of runs allowed and hits, but when you see who arguably, really, certainly has been the ace of the Dolphins staff this year. John Esposito with a 1.85 ERA, having surrendered 24 runs and only 8 earned. That is alarming. And there's the third out of the inning as the Dolphins put 2 on with nobody out, but failed to score once again. We're through 8 from the CSI Baseball Complex. CSI trails Drew 11-0, 9th inning when we come back.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Listen to me. I am captain of the track team. And if I'm late,
She doesn't really think she's going to get out of here, does she?
be nice. She's new. Hello, is anyone there? Ugh!
Wow. Even from our standards, you look awful.
Oh, sweetie, what happened? Me? My friend Becky got to talk to this super cute boy, and I tried to act like I wasn't jealous, but I so totally was. And then out of nowhere, this concrete barrier just popped up. Maybe it was a semi.
You mean you were driving?
Yeah. I mean, I know the whole eyes on the road thing, but this was a super important text. Maybe you have to know, Becky.
Texting? Great.
But it was only like 5 seconds, and I'm a really, really fast texter, so it wasn't even a big deal. Actually, has she texted me back yet? Wow, I get like no bars in this place. I wonder if they have Wi-Fi here.
And we are back from the College of Staten Island. Dolphins still trailing big. Their deficit is 11 runs. And, Mike, we mentioned his name during the previous half inning. It will be Stephen Kalika taking the mound for the College of Staten Island.
Yeah, Kalika will get to come in and pitch the 9th inning. And for Stephen, it's going to be his 7th appearance. 6 of them in relief. He's got a 2.79 ERA in 9 2/3 innings. He's allowed 6 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned. He's walked 11 and struck out 15. So he strikes out a lot of hitters, but he's allowed a lot of base on balls as well.
And the first batter he faces will be a pinch hitter, as that's fouled away, I believe. It's Vinny Carlesi. Or Carlisi, I should say, as I refer to our pronunciation guide, which is uselessly positioned underneath my iPad. So Carlisi gets his first plate appearance of the game against Kalika, the 7th Dolphins pitcher in the game.
He's batting an even 300, Joe. 3 of 10 on the year with 3 RBIs.
That's fouled away as the count runs to 1-2, but Kalika, as you mentioned, has had good numbers on the season. I spoke about him in the previous half inning as well, being second on this Dolphins team in ERA with a 2.79 mark. He's gotten a start for the Dolphins this season as well. This is his 7th appearance on the mound. He's also swung the bat well this year as he picks up his first strikeout of Carlisi for out number 1.
Yeah, Carlisi didn't have a good cut on that 2-strike pitch and goes down swinging for the first out. 1 up, 1 down for the Rangers here in the 9th.
And we have another pinch hitter. It will be Brian D'Agostino. So the Rangers will begin to empty their bench in the 9th inning as that's fouled away.
D'Agostino batting .271 on the year, 13 of 46 with 8 RBIs.
Anthony Lozada's made it tough for Kalika to get some more playing time over at first base, but Kalika, a .317 hitter for this Dolphins team as well, is putting up some stellar numbers out on the mound. He has 2 quick punch-outs as D'Agostino goes down looking for the second out.
Yeah, so Kalika coming out and, making a little bit of a statement of his own, getting off to a good start here. 2 up, 2 down quickly for the Rangers here in the 9th.
Well, at this point, I'll try and take a look at what pitchers the Dolphins haven't used in this game, and that should give you an idea of what direction they're looking to go in this weekend. And looking down the line, Salvatore Trancucci hasn't entered this game. Kevin Ryan hasn't pitched. Christian Capion hasn't pitched as that's sliced out to right field, and it will be caught out there for the third out of the inning. So a quick 1-2-3 inning for Stephen Kalika. We'll talk more about the Dolphins pitching when we come back as they step up to the plate for what we would assume would be the final time, trailing by 11 runs, entering the bottom half of the ninth. More Dolphins baseball when we come back.
Morning, Gary. We are GetSchooled.com. You want a college education, don't you? You know you do. That's why we're here. We're free and here to guide you through every step of the way, starting with attendance. Gary, financial aid forms. Picking a college, man. You and us. We go together like tacos and Tuesday.
And I love tacos. Go to GetSchooled.com.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
La 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 la, I love you so. I love you, I love you. La 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 la, la 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 la.
We're here.
Yay!
It's a short drive from your neighborhood to your naturehood. To find a neighborhood park or green space near you, visit discovertheforest.org.
Got a pitch at you, Nedra.
And we're back from the CSI Baseball Complex as it will be Nicholas Dodato stepping up to the plate for the College of Staten Island.
Dodato 6 of 18 on the year, and for you baseball statisticians, that's of course 333.
Has one unofficial plate appearance in this game with a walk. And he looks at that pitch outside for ball 2. But before we took a break, prior to this half inning, I was running through some of the Dolphins' arms that haven't been used in this game to try and get an idea of where they were planning to go with their pitching this weekend. And it looks like a lot of their pitchers who have been used primarily as starters are waiting in the wings for this 3-game setup coming against the John Jay College Bloodhounds. And before the break, I mentioned that John Esposito, of course, hasn't pitched in this game. Salvatore Trancucci hasn't pitched in this game. Christian Capion hasn't pitched in this game. And I believe the Dolphins have used every other arm out in that bullpen so far in this one. So 3 pitchers remain unused for the College of Staten Island tonight. And you figure we'll see all 3 of them at some point this weekend against John Jay. But there's going to, of course, have to be at least 1 or 2, if not more, of those other pitchers who pitched tonight that will get some more action this weekend.
And, you know, Joe, I'm looking out at the scoreboard as the Dolphins draw a leadoff walk here to start the 9th inning. And, you know, I know they had 2 hits up on the board at one time. It's been reduced to 1. So I guess that the infield single is going to be the only hit of the game so far for the Dolphins. At least that's what we're seeing up on the scoreboard.
Well, I'm going to take a look and see where that was changed very quickly, if I can find it. No error in the 8th, so I'm just going to work my way backwards and see where an error was put up on the scoreboard, and we can figure out where the Dolphins were docked a base hit. I think it's right here in the 7th. As that one's into shallow left center and rolling all the way out toward the warning track for an extra base hit. Maybe not so shallow after all, as Dodato took a small turnaround third. He'll hold up there, and Andrew Nathan is on with a double. The Dolphins now have runners on 2nd and 3rd with nobody out.
Yeah, Joe, Dolphins, trying to at least get themselves on the scoreboard and maybe do a little bit more damage. A good start here to the 9th as they get their first 2 base runners on and trying to get on the board for the first time here tonight.
So the Sean Becker base hit, or at least one that was originally called a base hit, is that one will bring a runner home. And moving up to 3rd is Nathan. Coming in to score is Dodato with the first Dolphins run. And Jendy Castillo's shutout is broken in the bottom half of the 9th, and CSI's deficit is now 10. But as I was saying, Mike, the Sean Becker base hit in the 7th inning was changed to an error by the 3rd baseman Becker was ultimately thrown out at second base from right field. Shortstop was covering second base on that play, so the putout goes to him as that one's fouled away, but count goes to 1-1 on Becker. Anyway, that's where the hit was taken away in the 7th inning.
Yeah, so the Dolphins with just one infield single coming into the 9th inning here tonight. That leadoff single by Jet Navertney in the 4th.
As that one's hit out to shallow center, and initially breaking back was the center fielder, and finally charges in to make the catches. That was a strong throw toward the infield, and there's one away as Khalid Zarai will be the batter. So Dolphins do get that hit total right back up to 2 with that Andrew Nathan double, but they still trail by 10 runs and are down to their final 2 outs as Zaria steps into the box. He's 0 for 1 as he swings and misses at the first pitch for strike 1.
Yeah, I believe he struck out in his first at-bat, Joe, and, you look at Nathan with that double, the only extra base hit of the game for the Dolphins and the only base hit to leave the infield for the Dolphins here tonight.
Well, as I said before, it's uncharacteristic of the Dolphins to struggle at the plate like this, but that's unfortunately been the case for the last 3 games now, and they'll head into that 3-game set with John Jay this weekend, swinging cold bats, and hopefully they can turn that around as Zaria is punched out for the 2nd time. Goes down looking that pitch on the outside corner, and it will be left to Joseph Manzi with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th.
Yeah, and if Manzi can't bring home a run, Joe, that means they'll be going into this 3-game set against John Jay this weekend, having scored just 4 runs in the last 3 games on just 9 base hits.
And Manzi looks at a pitch off the outside corner for ball 1, but all season long I was a believer that this Dolphins team was simply off to a bad start and that wasn't the identity of this team, but unfortunately it hasn't improved much along the way, and that won't help things as that is the final out of the game. The Dolphins will drop this one by 10 runs on Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night. Our final score 11-1 in favor of the Rangers. And Mike, there really isn't much to say that we haven't said already. 3 huge games coming up this weekend. This Dolphins team continues to struggle. We're hoping to end the 4-game losing streak tonight. Instead, they see that streak extended to 5 games, but they've swung solid bats all season long. That hasn't been the case their last few games. What needs to change before this Saturday?
Well, Joey, if you're the Dolphins, you got to just try to turn the page quickly. There's no time to dwell on the fact that you've lost 5 games in a row, that you've, really struggled in all phases of the game. They say in baseball all the time, Joe, that, you're as good as your next starting pitcher, and hopefully the Dolphins will come out, pitch better on Friday, get the bats to wake up a little bit, and try to battle their way back into the Cuniac tournament here in 2019, remembering that they do not control their own destiny.
And that's very important to note. Still a lot of important baseball left to be played, and the Dolphins hope there is more baseball to be played beyond April 29th. As you get a look at our next broadcast, it will be CSI softball on Thursday, same day as the NFL draft, but we'll be out of here just in time to catch the draft. Last year we actually got to announce some draft picks over the microphone, which was fun, but that won't be the case this year unless we have a very late afternoon from the CSI softball complex. Our non-conference doubleheader against St. Joseph's of Brooklyn gets started at 1 p.m. from the CSI softball complex this Thursday. But if you're around the campus, join us at the CSI softball complex tomorrow for a single game against John Jay College, a big Cuniac matchup for the Dolphins, which could determine whether they finish in 2nd or 3rd in the Cuniac this season. Either way, it looks like it'll be a meeting with John Jay in the opening round of the Cuniac softball tournament. But a very entertaining game between those 2 teams yesterday, and they'll hope to provide a follow-up to that tomorrow. Again, that game is tomorrow, 1 p.m. CSI Softball Complex. Men's baseball next in action here at home on Friday against John Jay. CSI's season is on the line come this weekend against the Bloodhounds. 1 here at home on Friday, 2 on the road come Saturday. But Mike, that's all for us tonight from the CSI Baseball Complex on Grace Hillary Breast Cancer Awareness Night. This has been Joe Foreman, and for Mike Babuski and all of us here at the College of Staten Island, thank you for listening and thank you for watching. Our final score 11-1 in favor of the Rangers. Our next broadcast will be on Thursday, women's softball, as they take on St. Joseph's of Brooklyn. If you can't attend the game, be sure to join us here on CSI Sportsnet exclusively at CSIDolphins.com for that broadcast, and enjoy the rest of your night.